Hello and welcome to our coverage of the fourth and final morning of the 2025 ICC World Test Championship final, live from Lords in London. This is the new ball for Cobram Estate, Australia's extra virgin olive oil. It's been a match where the course of travel has never been predictable. Sharp handbrake turns in both directions, typically when least expected, have been the defining characteristic of this decider so far. To say the Proteas looked cooked in the lead-up to lunch yesterday is an understatement. Having had Australia reeling at 7 for 73 the previous afternoon, the way Mitch Starc rallied the defending champions felt spirit-crushing for the Proteas. Instead, this is when Temper Bavuma's chargers stood up big time. In pursuit of 282, they batted with purpose and poise. Having missed out in the first dig, Aidan Markram played the innings of a lifetime to reach an unbeaten 102 at stumps, an instant Lord's classic. And despite the skipper doing a hamstring early in his innings, they batted out a wicketless final session, adding 143 for the third wicket, just 69 runs away from the finish line. However, and it feels like a big however, collapses have come thick and fast in this test match. 5 for 20, 4 for 30, 5 for 12, 7 for 45. The job is not yet done. And for those who like omens, well, 213 is the score that South Africa resume on tonight. Or today, I should say. The same total they finished on in their nightmare end to the 1999 World Cup semi-final. 213 is also the target that Australia chased against them in the 2023 World Cup semi when they were all but finished. It's this weight of history that always sits with South African teams at times when it matters most. Can Australia exploit that and prompt one final twist after a night to rest and recharge? Or do South Africa hold their nerve and hold the mace aloft later this afternoon? Either way, this will be compelling. I'm Adam Collins, and with me to start our coverage as ever, Damien Fleming, who of course played in that before mentioned 1999 World Cup semi-final, and him over to the left as well, Bharat Sundaresan. Gents, it's going to be fascinating if Australia can get one early, and if they can't, well, South Africa, they've earned the right to do this on their terms. Good morning.
Yeah, certainly. So can I start with a poll?
Please.
Australia need 8 wickets for less than 67 runs. How confident are we? Bharat?
Baz?
I think I'm confident. I think this Australian team can get it done.
I think it's like a 1 in 20 shot. If you're in this position, it's a 1 in 20 shot that you win the Test match. Which isn't to say this Australian team don't have 1 in 20 shots in them. This particular generation of Australian cricketers have done freakish things. So you can see a world, can't you, Flem, where Pat from the pavilion end goes bang bang and then soft underbelly and then who knows.
So we're basically winning. Is this what I'm going here? Yeah, I'm going 1 in 1,000 here. History, suggested, South Africa, yet to have a world title. They have had some significant wins against Australia. Fani de Villiers bowled them to victory in Sydney in 93-94 when they just come back, and obviously chasing that 400 thanks to Herschel Gibbs in South Africa. But for the Australians, and it's been interesting. I asked you before we got on, Colo, what are they saying at the press conferences the last 2 nights and all this? Because out of all of it, as you said, this is a match-hardened Australian team that has won so many things, that they've got 4 all-time legends with the ball.
Yeah.
What's making it hard is the amount of runs required, the amount of wickets in hand for South Africa, and a very barren pitch. It's more about the lack of speed, isn't it? Because Nathan Lyon was getting turn, he was creating some instability. He could beat them, but they could play because of the slow pace in the pitch.
And this is what you see over here, Flem, increasingly. Pitches don't deteriorate in the old-fashioned way. They just get flatter in England. It's to do with the moisture, or lack thereof, underneath the table that used to be there. The drainage is outstanding. It means you end up having heavily watered pitches early on, which give you day 1 and 2s like we've had here. But, we're seeing teams chase massive scores.
You're saying that in county cricket bowl first.
Huge.
Just saw Mark Nicholas, who said he's got a new role. So he's president, but he's gone to chairman.
He's now chairman. He got appointed chairman after he did his year as president.
Which is great, because I think he asked these questions, and he did say, why is it so slow? He'd love to have more pace in it. And he was taught, everything was good 4 days out. But everything suggested that it would be, it's not going to be the whacker of the stadium, but it was not going to be having catches nicked and bouncing on day 2.
Yeah.
and not carrying at all. And really the only one we've seen with his carry was from Stephen Smith, who was obviously very close to the stumps, and it's led to an injury.
Yeah, news on that as well. Throw to Baz to get his perspective on your thoughts there, Flem. He spent a lot of time in hospital last night, we're told. He got back to the hotel eventually, and I saw him in the middle before. He's obviously splintered up on that right pinky finger. He was actually out in the middle talking with Marnus and shadow batting in the middle of Lords, as you do. But with 12-day turnaround, the probability of him playing in the Windies, and Australia acknowledged last night via Dan Vittori that it's a race against time, to say the very least. But I suppose that's a problem for tomorrow, Baz. Their problem for right now is how do they break up this masterful partnership?
Yeah, I've been going back to Flem's poll. The only reason we are even thinking about, especially considering the conditions, the way Bahuma and Markram have batted so far, and they've quite a bit of batting left as well, the battle 8, is because this is South Africa. And in my footy education, I read a lot about the collie wobbles, but these are wobbles of another kind for South Africa. And you spoke about the bad omen to 213. Speaking to Andrew Sampson, he brought up their first ever test after readmission against
Bridgetown
against West Indies in Bridgetown. They went into the last day needing 78 runs.
Yeah.
Peter Kirsten and Kepler Wessels batting beautifully. 8 wickets in hand, and they lost by 51 runs.
Yes.
So there's so much history, and I think history, South Africa's own history, is what stands in the way of them creating history today and keeping up with that date with destiny. So,
and if they can, Bharat and Flem, I mean, this has been a theme of our commentary through the 3 days. It does mean more than just getting the monkey off the back and just winning the trophy. They're precariously positioned as a test nation. So the bigger picture here, if they can do this, if they can hold their nerve, if they can get the job done, it's hard to know what it'll mean precisely, but the energy will be so positive around South African Test cricket. It can only help in getting them back to where we all want them to be as a major player week in, week out.
I love what you're saying. I just can't see it happening. It was only yesterday when you confirmed they do not have a home test this summer.
Yeah, it's hard.
So I don't understand, as big as this win will be today, and for these South African fans who have been fantastic the last 3 days, I can't see any impetus. There is a good chance they will never qualify for a test final again.
Yeah, the fear
what I love in the first 3, what I love of the big 3, only one has won.
Yeah.
New Zealand, Australia, unless something unbelievable happens. South Africa, I want Australia to win, but I do like how the big 3 have only won 1 out of the 3.
Yeah, and that was only because 2 of the big 2 qualified for that final as well, the last one. No, I was thinking about it last night as well. That's a good thing. That's why you need a World Test Championship. I mean, the format will be worked at and probably get better, and there was news overnight that England might have secured the next 3 World Test Championship finals. That's good for us.
Yeah, the first one they definitely have.
Yeah.
And then the latest I've heard, it's between England and India.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? I don't know if it can be anywhere else to get these. Mate, these crowds have been unbelievable, haven't they?
If it ends up at Ahmedabad, having an 80,000 seat stadium is terrific. It's great, right? We're from Melbourne, we get it, right? But an 80,000 seat stadium compared to 30,000 people here in a cosmopolitan audience, where London is a melting pot. It's almost the perfect place in the world to do it on that front. By the way, the news update there, a couple of them, Smith and the World Test Championship final, thanks to Belgravia Apparel for quality New Balance cricket team. We've got about a minute or so to our break, and then we'll come back with audiences from across Australia and around the world as well. Baz, who do you start with this morning? It has to be Pat, doesn't it? Pat's got to take the first over and just go for it.
Captain Pat. Well, it's been a feature of his captaincy, hasn't it? That when the team or game or match is in the balance, he grabs the ball like he did in the first innings and ripped through them. So it's Pat. If the ball was swinging, it's dark. But and he's done well. He's the one that's got the couple of wickets, but he's expensive. It was classic Stark. So I definitely go Cummins. Maybe you go the gamble and Stark, at least for a couple of overs.
Very quickly, Baz, Proteas?
I think Cummins and Stark tours, and then Lyon very quickly.
Okay, we're going to go to a break. On the other side of it, we'll welcome audiences. We'll reflect on what's to come here at Lords. The new ball ahead of Day 4 of the World Test Championship final for Cochrane Estate. Premium Australian extra virgin olive oil. Collins with you, Damien, Fleming and Bharat Sundaresan with me as we welcome to our coverage audiences from the football from across the country, the AFL and NRL audiences. Welcome to Lords for the fourth and final day. The Proteas are 69 runs away from their victory target of 282. Aidan Markram 102 not out. Absolutely magnificent. An instant Lords classic yesterday on afternoon 3. Batting with his skipper Temba Bavuma, who's on 65. He tore his hamstring. He kept on keeping on. They've put on 143 unbeaten for the third wicket. For Australia, the mission is clear. The mission is obvious. They need to find a way to put a cat amongst the pigeons, Flem. They've got to get busy early. If they can, that weight of history with South Africa, all that's come before them, never having won a major ICC trophy, might come into the frame. But if it doesn't, if they can't get the early breakthrough, then on a beautiful day for batting, on a slow, low wicket, it should be smooth sailing for the Proteas.
Yeah, I think this will hurt this Australian team. We've heard Nathan Lyon the last 12 months say their legacy, they want to be known as the great team. You know, Invincibles, Steve Wall, Ricky Ponting's Australian teams in the late 90s, early 2000s. So this was almost ticked off, you know, and then let's win the Ashes and let's go to India and win in India. A loss here, that they'll look at a lot of issues. The two batting collapses, you know, they pride themselves on, yes, you can lose a session, but you can't have a match losing session, and they probably had two but got themselves back into the game. So Pat's got to grab the ball, Captain Pat, as he has through his captaincy, grab it, get some early inroads, because, you know, there's not deep-seated confidence in this batting lineup, is there? Stubbs, Bedringham, Verona, Jansen, and then you're into the tail there. So they've got to get one. But quickly, just to reflect, Markram, wow, what 100. An all-time classic 100. When they review and revise, you know, the top 100 Test innings of all time. I mean, if he gets not out here, that's got to be it. And for me, he looked good from ball one, didn't he? And he was happy. He looked composed, classed. This is my game. He knew his game, and he's got the unique back foot where he punches through the offside, but then opens up the face, and it just rocks. And he equally does it through the leg side. So amazing. And Bavuma, what a captain. He's a limited player. He got and he's injured. So there'll be question marks how he was allowed to get so many singles with that field. They got the field wrong to him. So brilliant from South Africa. History's 69 runs away, is it? But for Australia, can they get that first wicket, Bharat?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what they need. They need that first wicket, probably the first over. If not in the first over, probably by the second over or so. And they need Markram out. I think Bauma is still struggling. We'll have to see how he recovers from that hamstring today, because you would have... Yesterday, I think it was mainly just adrenaline that he was going on and a couple of pills at best. But I think if they can do that, and it's not just the fact that there are young players here. There's baggage that Tristan Stubbs and Jansen are carrying from last year. Around this time last year, they needed 30 of 30 in that T20 World Cup final, and they lost from there, as good as Jasprit Bumrah was. And the thing is, even Australia, that's why teams all around the world want to restrict Australia from getting to the final. Because how many World Cup finals have Australia lost? 96 and probably 2010 in that T20 World Cup. So they don't lose finals. So this would really hurt Pat Cummins. And knowing, having travelled around with this team for the last 6-7 years, in that dressing room, they'll believe that they can come back from any situation. We were there in Lahore a few years ago, Adam, where that pitch was dead. It was absolutely dead. The test match was dead, and he inspired the turnaround. So he will believe that he can do it. But yeah, if it has to happen, it has to happen in those first 2-3 overs.
Crowd's absolutely streaming into Lords. We can see on our screen here that
great shots.
It's just been a magnificent occasion. Every day's delivered in different ways. It's been fascinating cricket. And just on the mindset of the Australian fast bowlers, Josh Hazlewood was talking to TV a moment ago.
You know, in small steps, we take it, we try and get that first wicket. Everyone coming in, you know, is under pressure to bat well and score the runs. So, baby steps today. We'll start with that first wicket and see what happens.
Well, it stands to reason. And look, that's the cool, calm, collected Aussie team. They never seem to get too emotional one way or the other, do they? As you say, Baz, they have belief. But there will be considerable scrutiny on what happened yesterday, having gotten themselves into such a good position, batting through the first session. Mitchell Starc doing such a splendid job. That unbeaten 58, two important, crucial partnerships after they were reduced to 7 for 73. How they have now ended up on the other side of things only 2 sessions later in a final. If they don't pull off something miraculous here and win the thing, they will rightly come under a lot of scrutiny back home and around the cricketing world as well.
Yeah, and it's a period where, just speaking to the selectors in the last few months, they looked at this game as being the culmination of the cycle and making a fresh start from this point on. So I think the jury will be out on the likes of Usman Khawaja, Manas Labuschagne, we've spoken a lot of, but he has time to come back. So do you look at Usman Khawaja, the way he batted in the home summer against seam bowling? Yes, he got the double 100 in Sri Lanka. Just his 2 dismissals here, and you're looking ahead to the Ashes, aren't you? So are you just continuing with him, or are you looking at other options? Cam Green at number 3, it hasn't worked out. I mean, we didn't see enough of him to know if it worked out or not. And there'll be a lot of other question marks about this batting lineup. And the times that Australia have lost, whether it was at the Gabba against West Indies, whether it's Perth, it's a batting that let them down. The bowlers have really brought them back into contests from nowhere. But
they did with the bat yesterday.
Yes, exactly. Again.
As well. The experience. But, reading into that partnership and it wasn't just us in here. Everyone was saying about the apathetic efforts in the field by South Africa and besides Rabada getting the ball. But what it showed was this pitch got really barren. The Australians were banging a good length, particularly Hazelwood and Cummins, and just couldn't get anything out of it. It was like a different pitch, and it was like different batsmen out there from particularly day one. I think we underachieved in the second innings. To be numped for 28 and to be 6 for 66. The collapse in the first innings really hurt us, got us behind the game. But if we lose this game, it'll be that 6 for 38 that we lost, which loses us the game.
The roller's been on it. If things were a little bit different, if they had more runs to play with, Nathan Lyon could be a real handful here. But the challenge is, with only 69 runs, the ability for South Africa to take him on and chance their hand a little bit.
Well, they could still start him from the pavilion end. That's where it was turning a lot.
Yes.
And he was a tad unlucky at times. And where the inconsistent bounce has been more prominent is from the nursery end or the media side, where we actually saw at least 5 go through the top. So the worry is it's keeping low a little bit, but particularly Markram got 3 or 4, didn't it? Hit high on the bat, and it's his favourite bat he went there. So there is a theory that, for me, that maybe you start with Lyon, particularly with Markram, be slightly defensive. But they had men out for Bavuma as well. Why? Challenge Bavuma to take him on, and you start Cummins at this end with the variable bounce. But the rolling might smooth that out for 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
And the fact that Pat didn't have Steve Smith out there with him for much of yesterday, it's never a precise thing. The tactical decision making on the ground, it's rarely the case that there's an explicitly right or wrong call to make. It's lots of grey area. However, a lot of experience that Smith possesses, and he's been Pat's vice captain for 4 years. He's done the job in Pat's absence a number of times as well, when he's been acting captain for various reasons. And Smith leaving the field just before tea yesterday felt significant on that front, Baz.
Yeah, I mean, that moment, right? Temba Bavuma just walked out. He was a cat on a hot tin roof, and then he gets dropped. So losing Smith in that sense, the drop catch, who knows what would have happened if that catch was taken. But so often Pat Cummins has turned to him to strategize when they've been in a bit of bother, and he wasn't there. He had Usman Khawaja and Manas in each year for most parts of the day, but it didn't work out. And I think for Australia, it'll just be the case of, because they're so good at strangling opposition teams, the fact that South Africa really didn't bat them out. Like, it wasn't like they were playing shots in anger or playing aggressively. They milked them into the ground, and that was a problem.
Okay, so to recap on Smith as we go to the break, he's been in hospital overnight. We expect he probably had the surgery already. We know he's going to need it with the injury he picked up yesterday. That's for Belgravia Apparel, providing high-quality New Balance teamwear to community cricket clubs and associations. This is the new ball ahead of day 4 of final morning as well of the World Test Championship final for Cobram Estate. Premium Australian Extra Virgin Olive Oil. We are at 5.5 minutes from the resumption. The final day at Lord's, cannot wait. South Africa, 69 runs away from destiny. So many years of heartbreak. So many World Cups that haven't broken their way when it's mattered most. Well, today is their opportunity. At the home of cricket, Chris Gaffney calls them to attention. Cummins from the nursery end. 2 slips. The catcher's behind the wicket to Bavuma on 65. In he comes and bowls, and Bavuma goes back and defends, and the crowd applaud. There was a standing ovation as the players entered the arena, Flem. This is a proper event. Everyone were on their feet. This is a significant day for Test cricket.
Yeah, it's interesting. I spoke in the pre-match, bumping into Mark Nicholas, who's the chairman here at the MCC. His first thing is, we are very happy with this Test match. It is a perfect venue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's easy to get.
London. The Oval's fantastic as well.
Cummins over the wicket to Bavuma, who plays off the inside part of the bat. Cummins throws his arms out, as he occasionally will when he thinks he's nearly snuck it past the edge, but not quite. And again, every defensive posture being applauded as well. Beautiful piece of writing overnight by our colleague downstairs, Dan Gallen, who's perhaps the most passionate South African fan I know, as well as being a journalist. And he goes through what he describes as a string of heartache, the cascade of misery that's been South African cricket story. And maybe along the way we started to believe it would last forever. He talks about generational trauma for the South African fans.
I hope we had one today.
Cummins in, bowls to Bavuma, hits him on the pad, but it's trending down leg, despite how passionately Bo Webster wants it at second slip.
So even that's a significant delivery. How many LB shouts did Australia get yesterday? It's hard to
count them on one hand.
Yeah.
I don't think we saw umpire Kettlebrett at all.
And he was like, if he wasn't best actor, he was best supporting actor in day 1 and 2, wasn't he?
Yes. It's the first time we've ever had the third umpire on
I like that.
telly.
I hope we do that at home.
Yeah, the third umpire cam was quite good. And, I'm sure he won't mind me saying Richard Kettlebrett doesn't mind being on camera.
Okay. All right.
Never misses arm day.
I think he's wearing shades.
In here Cummins, 2 slips, bowls to Bavuma, drives through the offside. Gets a single for it. Hobbling through is the captain Bavuma. He's 66, 68 to go. Tick him off, 2 for 214. There was a small gap to work with, and he located it. First run of the day.
Yeah, and what they've got to learn from yesterday too is he's limping, he's injured, Bavuma. Make it hard for him to get singles. Always be throwing to his end. But the big wicket here, Markram, one of the great Test hundreds, I reckon. The pressure, not only on himself, coming off, a failure in the first innings, the duck, and also his nation to win a Test championship final.
Cummins to Markram. His first ball of the day is defended right at the middle of the bat, like he hasn't left, just as it was yesterday. Jeremy Coney, former New Zealand captain, joins us as well. Good morning.
Morning, Adam. Morning, everybody. Obviously Australia have to arrest that urgency that we saw. It was quite notable urgency, wasn't it, from South Africa yesterday, the batsmen? But they've got to try and clam things up. That's the first thing, and I think that's why Cummins makes sense to me, going into about 3s yesterday. I think probably Hazelwood makes sense as well, to come and try and close South Africa down early.
Last ball, Cummins here, Markram again defending at the middle of the bat, out to cover. That's a great sign for the opener. He stays on 102, Bavuma 66 at 2 for 214, 68 runs away on the tyre power scoreboard. Your trusted tyre experts. Jeremy, continue that thought.
Yeah, and so I just think that's what happened yesterday. They just could not stop. In fact, none of the seamers bowled a maiden from Australia yesterday. It wasn't an easy pitch to bowl on. There was no nip. It was that straw colour, what you can see today. Actually, as I walked down to go and get a coffee this morning, it was actually quite low cloud again. I thought, here we go. We might have a bit of terror coming from the South African side later today. Let's get some of that.
Yeah, but what's happened to you mates, the clouds now?
They're gone. They've gone.
And you've called it right, Jeremy. It is going to be Josh Hazlewood. Can he extract some of that lateral movement you're talking about? He took none for 43 yesterday.
Yeah, well, I mean, there might have been a thought about Stark, but because he got the wickets yesterday, didn't he? But he nearly went for sixes, 5.8, and that's a bit of a danger early on, I think.
Yeah.
And you might look later on for a wee bit of reverse. That's a possibility, but I don't think at the start.
No, the other possibility, I thought maybe Nathan Lyon, because that's the end where it was turning a long way.
He's the other one.
It's hard with Mitchell Stark, as you said. He's taken the 2 wickets, but when the ball's not swinging, he doesn't have the accuracy or the bounce of Hazlewood or Cummins.
The value of shutting them down too is that it may lead to a false shot as they start to get a little nervous.
Just start with pressure, as you said.
Yeah.
What about consecutive maidens?
Yeah.
The quicks couldn't get one between them yesterday.
Hazlewood away from the pavilion. His first ball of the day is to Bavuma, and he beats him on the outside edge with a jam. Ooh. That is where Hazlewood is so dangerous, in that channel just outside the line, wobble seam, both edges in play.
Just slightly more bounce, I reckon, coming to this nursery end. Wee bit more. It just held its line. It just, gorgeous.
Just went with the slope. That was chasing the outside edge and just missed. Big stare from the big Hoff as well.
On a very tidy spell before stumps last night. Doing what you were talking about, Jeremy. He kept things quiet just at the point where it was completely getting away from Australia. Hazlewood in, delivers to Bavuma, he beats him again. Similar delivery, a fraction shorter. To be generous to Bavuma, he might have pulled his bat inside the line at the last moment.
And that's because of the lack of pace in the pitch. Yeah, that was probably only 30 centimetres shorter than the one that he did play and miss it. And being slightly shorter, he was able to take his bat away from it. But you just feel like a wicket early for the Australians, you know. How many tremors does that put into the awaiting South African batsman?
Well, I mean, 69 runs, 24 overs to the second new ball. You've got 8 wickets. It's a doddle, usually.
Usually. However, Hazlewood bowls here, Bavuma leaves. That's more confident. He's picked the line early on, and Hazlewood gestures to the court. He doesn't think he's far away here.
But a final at Lord's. And then there's a history, of course, attached. So it won't take much to trigger some of those slight concerns. They might try and go the opposite way, mightn't they? And then push for aggression a bit more and then create some chances as well. This is not going to be an easy 69.
No.
Australia are going to fight all the way.
Well, if you look at the career records of the incoming South African batsmen, you know, it's below average at test level.
Hazlewood passes umpire Illingworth, bowls here to Bavuma, inside edge, perhaps onto the pad. Either way, it goes out to cover without much concern. 68 to win. The partnership's been perfectly even. 66 to Bavuma, 66 to Markram.
I like the length at the moment, and then hang one out there towards that cover, because he does drive in the air a little, and the men are there this time. There's not a gap to take a single as we saw yesterday.
Yep, you might go with that risk, you know, tighten him up, getting him feeling the ball on his bat, and then that wider one.
That's it.
As you said, he got out playing on the up in the first innings.
2 slips, 2 back on the leg side. Hazlewood bowls to Bavuma, goes back and defends to cover comfortably.
But good start from the Australians. They've got a lot of those balls in the avenue of apprehension early. They just need one for their confidence and just to continue the strangle. And saying that the records of the South Africans aren't fantastic, but the records of these Australian bowlers are phenomenal.
So Hazlewood turns at the top of his mark. Members behind him. Races towards Bavuma here. Up to the crease and bowls, and Bavuma defends. Back down the pitch. A maiden for Hazlewood, the first maiden for an Australian seamer in this innings. At 2 for 214, South Africa are 68 away from their target. Markram 102, Bavuma 66 on the tyre power scoreboard. Your trusted tyre experts.
Searching for some supplements and healthcare to keep you moving? Then visit Chemist Warehouse for great savings like Pain Away Joint and Muscle Pain Relief Cream, 70 gram, just $14.75. Relieve constipation with Prunelax Constipation Relief, 80 tablets, only $12.99. Or try Movicol, 30 sachets for $14.99. And grab Bondi Protein Co, 800 gram range, just $29.99 each. For great savings every day, come home to Chemist Warehouse.
Just caught a shot on our Chemist Warehouse replay screen of Steve Smith on the balcony having a laugh with his assistant coach, Andre Borovic. That's a good sign after being in hospital last night with that finger fracture. Cummins bowls, and going back is Markram to one that pops. What you said in the pre-game, Flynn, occasionally from the nursery end, balls are popping. He negotiated it well out to cover.
And I think he's copped half a dozen now.
Yeah.
I thought the rolling of the wicket might just, smooth that out a bit. No. And Pat loves that, isn't it? He'll just isolate that area. And it is reasonably full.
Lovely morning in London. The sun through the clouds across the pitch now. Cummins away from our nursery end. He's got two slips. Bowling to Markram here, and Markram's cut in half. Tried to cut, and it didn't get up. So it's gone between the bat and the off stump. It bounced through to Carey. So there's no meaningful... So we've had a ball that's popped and then one that's, I wouldn't say gone along the ground, but it's gone about half as high as Markram might have thought.
Yeah, that's good when they see variation like that. That brings the stumps into play. It brings LBWs into play. It brings played on a lot, especially if you're looking to play it into the leg side and just closing the face a bit. You get the inside edge into the stumps.
So some variable bounce here for Pat Cummins at good pace too.
Has a habit of hitting the stumps, Cummins, with those straighten up bowls here. It's full and pushed down the ground by Markram, straight a bit off. Work to do for Labuschagne. They'll come back for two towards the rope. He hauls it in 2 metres inside with a sliding stop, and they return for 3. So Markram's first runs of the 4th day moves him to 105. Again, the South African fans are in raptures for every run, 65 away from the target.
That is such a great shot, that wasn't a half volley. We talked about the variable bounce. He was going to lean into the drive, and then it sort of did just go through a little bit, so he actually straightened his front leg so he could check it along the ground. Great shot.
Yeah, he got on top of it, didn't he?
He could have lapped
and it was a punch. It was a punch. It wasn't a stand up and flowing
which
right
could have
through.
gone to mid-off in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, mid-offset wide with Labuschagne. 3 left in the over. Cummins bowls here. Bavuma plays it to him off the back foot. He's looking proppy again on that hammy. We saw a shot of them running between the wickets, and Markram was in a jog and still nearly lapped him. But credit to Bavuma. As far as I can recall, I don't think they've ever declined a run or declined a second. Like, he has put in the hard yards to the extent to which his body will let him.
Yeah, I think he went a quick single to Khawaja, and it was almost like he forgot that he had an injury. Got there, but he's worked out, I think, how long he can do his strides without putting that much stress. They're not long strides. 2 out now on leg side.
Cummins up bowls here. Bavuma forward defending. Solid.
And the tough thing with the slowness in the pitch, and Hazelwood bowled 3 late last night, the bouncer has had no effect at all. No. Even on day 3, you'd love that if they take it on, they're taking a risk. But even someone at Hazelwood's height and bounce, it was blancmange.
Yeah.
And they could safely get inside the line and keep it down.
Extraordinary day, wasn't it, yesterday? 28 wickets in the first 2 days, 4 wickets, one of them a number 10, one a number 11. That's half of the wickets yesterday.
A game of radical shifts has been. Cummins bowls here and caught behind. That's the one they needed. One early on, Cummins getting it to trend down the slope, kisses the edge of Bavuma into the gloves of Carey. The captain's gone for 66. It's been a marvellous contribution, integral to getting to South Africa where they are. But 65 short of victory. The 3rd wicket falls with the score on 217.
Wow, that's a classic Pat Cummins delivery. And he's been nailing that avenue of apprehension. And this time, unfortunately for Bavuma, he gets a faint edge. Great captain's knock there from the South African skipper, getting a standing ovation. but it has opened up the door for the Australians. Imagine coming out to bat under this pressure. Stubbs, not a long career, not a lot of runs as well, and Cummins and Hazelwood, as we expected, have come in and are bowling a massive amount of huge percentage of deliveries in that uncomfortable avenue of apprehension.
What a response as Bavuma went up the stairs of the pavilion there, Flem. Standing ovation. He's going through the long room now, and the admiration, rightly so. The definition of a captain's knock. Done the vast majority of it on one leg. Only adding 3 runs, or 1 run rather, to his overnight tally. But boy, a wicketless final session last night. That's the foundation stone. 65 to go though. Maybe 1 or 2 away from game on. Cummins in the book.
Yeah, well, just what Australia were, we've been talking about. That's what they needed. They've certainly stopped easy runs that were occurring yesterday. They've been pretty much on the money. They're about sort of a 5th stump kind of line, and then they've been at the batsmen as well. They haven't given them really, even the drive from Markram down to the sort of long off boundary wasn't a poor ball. He's had to make something of it himself. Now, how will Stubbs play? He has the reputation of being a slightly more aggressive white ball player.
Most of them are the ones coming in.
It was a tortured stay for Stubbs on evening 1, 3 from 13, but looked absolutely nowhere when they were holding on for Stubbs unsuccessfully.
But Markram's the big wicket now for the Australians.
Sure is. Hazelwood to him on 105. Markram cuts, and cuts well. Out to Nathan Lyon at deep backward point, sweeping in that direction, gets 1. 106 for him. 3 for 218, 64 to go.
Now, this is interesting. Let's see what sort of guard he takes. Is he going to be one of these players who nowadays stands on off stump and shows all the pads to the bowlers? And also then you end up nicking a ball on sort of 6th stump. We've seen that a lot. And if they go actually at the pads at sort of middle and leg, you're coming across the ball from outside off stump, and so you run the risk of missing that.
Well, Hazelwood, I think, just needs to hit that line and length. He did last over to Bavuma. He challenged the outside edge every ball.
So Khawaja at first slip, Webster at second, Green in the gully. Stubbs in his 10th test match, facing Hazelwood here. His first ball's defended, knows the call.
I don't know about a deep point on the fence to the incoming batsman. I'd like another catcher.
Yeah. It's interesting slip cordon, isn't it, really? They've got 2 slips set and then a smallish gap to about a 4th slip, haven't they?
Yeah, it's not a gully.
They've got the 2 big men, Bo Webster and Cam Green. They perhaps with the old big wings, they feel they can cover a little bit more, don't know.
I just think, for that ball, it has to be wide.
Down there.
Yeah, whereas I want to be full and around off stump.
Hazelwood away from the pavilion into Stubbs, who's hit on the pad. Hazelwood wants it. He's not going to get it.
No, that's slow.
Umpire Illingworth keeps the finger down.
That's twice now they've hit the pad. I think that's as many as they hit yesterday through the whole innings.
Once again, though, DRS, when we get it, it'll be for IMAR, Trusted Tradies Insurance. Call 13 IMAR.
But they're getting in close. The pressure's starting to mount just a little bit. It nipped back that one, didn't it? And
there is a little bit of movement today.
A wee bit.
There was nothing yesterday.
Good start from Hazelwood, playing his role here. Delivers to the new man Stubbs, who's forward defensively. Well bowled and well played. Two left in the over.
Yeah, good bowling partnership starting here. Cummins and Hazelwood. The Australians struggled to get pressure from both ends. There was always a release or a big over yesterday. Markram and Bavuma batted beautifully together.
So Tristan Stubbs, 2 test tons, relatively new to his test career. The big stage, facing Hazelwood, pushing to mid-on, no run. Psychologically, just keeping them with 60-something to win for a long time as well, not letting them...
Well, using up those overs too, aren't they? They've got 24 overs when they began play today, and then they get a second new ball. If they can keep that down, keep this and suppress this run rate, they might have a few overs with that second new ball, and that's always something to to look forward to.
The pronounced seam, the Duke.
Hazelwood to complete his over here. Bowls to Stubbs, who's yet to score, won't score here either. The defensive push at the middle of the bat to Labuschagne at cover. Tidy over, one from it, back to Pat after the break at 3 for 218. The Proteas 64 to win. Markram 106. Stubbs yet to score on the Tyre Power scoreboard. Your trusted tyre experts.
Did you know that Cobram Estate Extra Virgin Olive Oil supports heart health when consuming 2 or more 15 millilitre serves per day as part of a balanced diet? Cobram Estate is made from olives grown in northern Victoria, which are harvested and first cold pressed within 4 to 6 hours to create a premium quality oil. That is why every bottle is fresh and full of flavour, making your food taste even better. Cobram Estate, premium quality, great tasting, and the most awarded Australian extra virgin olive oil.
SEN Test Cricket live from Lords for Henley Holmes. Cummins struck in his previous over. He's away from us at the nursery end to Markram on 106. Bowls here, goes back and defends comfortably. Gosh, how big this feels. Cummins at the very much set man. He's played an absolute blinder, but getting rid of Markram, 2 new batters with 60-something to win, that really would change the feel of this entirely.
That stretches the chase. What a great battle this is. Captain Pat versus Markram.
Bit of news on Steve Smith that's coming through as well, which I'll relay after this ball. Cummins delivers here and beating the edge of Markram. He went for the expansive drive and it did go down the slope. It did bounce a fraction more. Interesting.
Great bowling. We talked about this earlier, Jeremy, didn't it? Make him bowl straight, make them feel the ball, chuck one wide.
Yep.
There's still enough runs to have a go at that. This was so close to... Yeah, that's a lot wider, but I love the length and it went away from the slope. He actually missed it by a fair way in the end.
Long way.
But it's more the intent. You can see his front foot isn't completed as he's going through the shot, so he lost balance there, Markram. His eyes lit up.
2 slips, deep point out as well. Cummins to Markram, he plays out into the offside in front of point. Work to do for the sweeper and he won't get there. Struck too well, crashed out towards Father Time. First boundary of this 4th morning. And sure enough, it's Aidan Markram up to 110, 60 to go at 3 for 222.
Yeah, the difference with that last one is that it's just got a little bit shorter, hasn't it? And it's allowed that extra just millisecond for Markram to just get onto the front foot and then transfer the weight back and bring in a cut stroke, sort of a punchy kind of cut shot. And it did get square of the man just patrolling out there on the boundary.
Cummins halfway through the over to Markram, that's better. Off stump line, back of a length, but back in defence comfortably to Labuschagne.
They say, a good length is between 5 and 7 metres. On a slow pitch like this, 7 metres is too short. And I reckon that the one he played missed that was around that 5 metre mark. And the one that he had time to go forward press and then go back and smash it for 4 was more about 6.5, 7 metres. So I think that ideal avenue of apprehension is more a bit fuller.
Especially when it's slow.
4.5 to 6 metres.
Yeah.
Cummins has the wicket this morning. Bowls here to Markram, brings him forward. That fuller length that Flem's talking of. Pushed out to mid-off comfortably as well, though. The issue is that when Markram's in defence, when he's choosing to block, it's coming right out the middle of the bat.
Yeah, it's been an incredible knock. One of those knocks, I know the pitch has been a bit slow, but you just think... why he hasn't always... he didn't come out to Australia last time, did he, Markram?
At the time.
And he just looks too good a play. He looks their best batsman by a mile.
It did stand out at the time. He had a poor run through
But it was still like, sure. And then we saw the way they batted in Australia.
Yeah. Cummins to finish his 13th over. Full and straightly defended to mid-on. No runs to the call. Markram boundary in the overs, 110. Stubbs yet to score at 3 for 222. South Africa, 60 runs from victory on the Tyre Power scoreboard. Your trusted tyre experts.
Help yourself to helpful healthcare and huge savings at Chemist Warehouse. Stock up on GastroStop Plus, 20 chewable tabs, just $8.99. Try Nexium 24-hour, 20 milligram, 14 tablets for $10.99. Pick up Wagner Professional Immunity Force, 60 vegetarian capsules, now $28.99. And LifeSpace Probiotic for 60 plus years, only $35.99. For great savings every day, come home to Chemist Warehouse.
Coverage at Lords is for the Henley Breakthrough Collection, billed from only $227,900. Hazelwood into the new man Stubbs, yet to score. 2 slips the gully, bowls here. Stubbs forward, inside part of the bat to Constas, who's patrolling at mid-wicket. The sub on Smith. A bit of news coming through here. He didn't need surgery. He will, however, need to wear a splint full-time for 8 weeks. So they think the wound will heal in a fortnight. And we're told he'll be able to bat if he can tolerate doing it with a splint on. So he'll have to wear the splint. So in theory, there is a route back to him playing maybe later in that Windy series. So without surgery, there's an extra layer of interest there. Stubbs facing Hazelwood close to the stumps, goes back, rides the bounce, deep backward point into action. That's Nathan Lyon. They get 1. Stubbs off the mark with the single. 3 for 223, 59 from the target.
He was a bit unlucky, Smith, I felt, because he was so close. They'd gone up, hadn't he? He had the helmet on, didn't he?
He did.
I think at that time. And so you're always, when you go close, looking for the catch to be lower. And so you've got to actually get down and expect most of the percentage catches are going to come to you quite low, and especially when you are close. But in fact, it was a short ball, wasn't it? It was a short ball, and it squared Bavuma up. And so it came from leg side. You didn't have a chance to see it, and so it was higher too because it was a short ball. So he tried desperately to change to get to the reverse cup, and that's why it's hit the little finger. So it was a bit of bad luck in a sense.
And he just wouldn't be used to doing that job with a lid on either, right? Like it's an unusual...
Yeah, definitely.
Adding to the complexity. Hazelwood, pavilion end, bowls here, and Markram goes back and defends. He was almost squared up there.
He was
not far away, was squared up.
Just a little bit of nip from Hazelwood. We saw it last over as well. Get into the pads. Now, Markram is one of the off-stump boys, and he's played beautifully, we know that. And he hasn't missed very many deliveries at all, but that's the first time he's kind of got an inside edge.
So 2 back for the short ball. Haven't seen any of that so far this morning. Hazelwood to Markram on 110. Off the hip, he gets it shoveled into the onside. Plenty of room to work with for a single to Whitish mid-on. 1-1-1 for Markram. 3 for 224 the score. 58 from victory. Can they open up an end?
Yeah,
it's got to be Markram. Can they get Stubbs and then put pressure on that way?
Yeah, there was not much sideways movement for the Australians yesterday. It was more a little bit of variable bounce, but we've seen already today both Hazelwood and Cummins have been able to move the ball against the slope, which we saw on day 1 and day 2.
Hazelwood on the approach. Bowls here to Stubbs, who defends forcefully out to mid-off. He really thrust down hard there. But
he's hitting the ball. He's coming to Hazelwood. I wonder whether he goes that wider delivery because Stubbs is feeling the ball and chasing it.
Once again, Constas drops out to deep square legs. They've gone in out a little bit in this over. Trying to make him think about a short ball. Whether it comes or not's a different story, but trying to get in his head early on. Stubbs, he's 1 from 8. Last ball of the 62nd over. Hazelwood passes umpire Illingworth, delivers here, and Stubbs goes back and does as Markram did. Works it into the onside for an easy single where there's lots of room to work with. He retains the strike. Stubbs, he's 2. Markram, 111. It's 3 for 225. 57 runs away from the target on the Tyre Power scoreboard. Your trusted tyre experts.
There's never been a better time to snuggle up to big savings. It's the 40 Winks end of financial year sale. Get cosy with up to 50% off mattresses and up to 30% off furniture featuring our range of trusted and leading brands. This end of financial year, we are serious about savings on everything you need for a better sleep, all in one place. Shop online or head in store and speak to your local 40 Winks team today. Hurry, limited time only. Terms, conditions and exclusions apply. 40 Winks, serious about sleep.
SEN Test Cricket for the Henley Breakthrough Collection, billed from only $227,900.
Captain Pat's got the wicket already today. He's bowled beautifully. You can see that he senses the moment. He's bowling roundabout off stump every delivery, good pace. He's hitting the bat hard. Stubbs on strike for the first time against Captain Pat. Two slips in place.
Big.
I don't like the backward points on the fence. Get in another catcher.
Cummins, fourth over of his spell. Bowls here 2 Stubbs for the first time, as you say, but he's forward in defence. That's fine. Bharat Sundaresan jumps into. Morning, Baz.
Morning, gents. Australia have done what they couldn't do yesterday, which is really put a bit of a stranglehold on South Africa, even though Markram has picked up classy boundary. The pitch is giving them something today. It's a little more than what it did yesterday, even if it is just variation in bounds.
So Cummins into Stubbs on 2. Nursery end delivers here, and he beats him with a ball that doesn't actually make it through to Carey, but Flem, it's around that part of the pitch where he's getting the ball to deck down the slope.
Yeah, I'd like to see the release of that ball. It was like an end swinger that then hit the seam and went with the slope. Yeah.
Good bit of bowling.
Even that, you can afford to go another metre fuller, can't you?
The bounce is not there, is it?
They're lunging forward, but you can lose a little bit of balance when you do that, and if it just nips back and keeps low, LBW.
Cummins to Stubbs. Bowls and Stubbs drives, but straight to Constas at wide mid-off. The fear for Cummins here, of course, will be that one of those does kiss the edge and doesn't make it. Doesn't carry. So they're not going with that helmeted slip cordon at this point. Indeed, Khawaja at one point yesterday at first was standing a couple of metres in front of the wicketkeeper, which I don't think I've ever seen.
Yeah, but we saw the neck from Bavuma. The wide one with a flashing drive, if it gets a thin neck, that's carrying. But if they're playing half hard and dropping their hands, it's just not carrying at all.
Cummins to Stubbs, delivers here. He goes back and works it just in front of the square leg umpire. Only one man out for Cummins. That's the fine leg who collects now, Hazelwood. They return for a second. Stubbs to 4. 55 away from the 282 they require at 3 for 227.
There's only one of the South African batters to have a net this morning, Tristan Stubbs. Maybe the lower order don't expect or don't want to even jinx it. There's a lot of non-jinxing going on in the South African dressing room from what Ashwell Prince said yesterday, his assistant coach. Bathroom breaks allowed only during drinks or whenever Bauma was getting treated.
Yeah, that's all kicked in, that.
Love that. Great part of the game. Cummins in once more. Forward Stubbs. Some oohs and ahs, but it hit where he wanted it to be, to mid-on. No run. Yes, I come back to when I was reading this morning that Dan Gallen piece and talking about these fans in the crowd, these South African fans. He sat with them in the Compton late yesterday, and he's like, every run it was like these people are processing generational trauma following this Proteas team. It does feel a bit that way, doesn't it? All the superstitions and all the different historical reference points where they've fallen short oftentimes against Australia. 55 away from getting the monkey off the back. Cummins. Last ball here and forward. Nicely Stubbs. Straight of mid-off, but Constas wheels around and collects. Ends the over. There'll be a change in commentary. Daniel Norcross in for me at 3 for 227 Australia. 1 wicket this morning. Bavuma gone for 66, caught behind. Markram still there on 111 though. On the Tyre Power scoreboard, your trusted tyre experts.
Step into Chemist Warehouse for stunning skincare and savings. Grab Thayer's anti-blemish treatment 15ml for $15.99. Soothe Skin with Aveeno Skin Relief Moisturising Lotion 1 litre, $17.99. Try L'Oreal Paris Revitalift Filler Day Cream 50ml, just $27.49. And for a bright smile, try Oral-B Power Toothbrush IO3 Series Clean and Whiten, now $99.99. For great savings every day, come home to Chemist Warehouse.
In Test cricket for the Henley Breakthrough Collection, billed from only $227,900. Daniel Norcross alongside Bharat Sundaresan, and watching the timorousness and nervousness and terror that has unfolded in the first 35 minutes. It's hard to understand how South Africa haven't won tournaments before, isn't it, really? It's thrilling stuff, isn't it?
It is.
And speaking as an absolutely dyed-in-the-wool neutral, come on, Aussie, let's get a couple of wickets here. This Hazelwood is in. This is clipped away. The onside in the air momentarily. Just lands in front of Quadra at short mid-wicket. There's no run. No chance of rain. Beautiful day. Nice. It's a bit cooler as well. Not the humidity expected. Have you detected any change in the way the pitch is playing at all? Still a bit slow, still a bit low?
I think, the pace has died out even further than yesterday, but there have been, and the variation in bounce has really picked up.
Yeah.
Some have kept low, obviously a couple have jumped at Markram, especially from when Cummins is bowled from the nursery end.
Hazelwood comes in with his shoulders rocking, his elbows bent. That was a full ball defended back to him by Markram. There's no run. It's been the way. It's followed a sort of familiar pattern. I've mentioned it many times during this test match, of wickets falling early and then I say flattening out. It's not so much that. It loses the nip because the moisture goes from the surface. So the grass slightly dies. It goes a bit straw-coloured, and it's harder for the bowlers to get that late nip, which makes it kind of good to bad on day 3, day 4 even. But it depends. It can start to deteriorate as you go longer on English pitches. It can start to go up and down. Get the odd shooter, which could be problematic. As in comes, Hazelwood, and a thick leading edge goes in the air to where a sort of short catching extra cover might be, but is not there.
Yeah, that one.
There's no run.
Sort of jumped at Markram.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to the one. There you go.
Yeah.
It didn't hit him in the splice of the bat, but still got a little big on him.
It's quite a full length, and it's got through around groin height.
Yeah. I mean, probably similar to the one that Bowma edged and what led to that Smith injury yesterday.
Yes. 55 needed to win. Bo Webster in at slip, standing in front of the keeper as Hazelwood is in. This is driven nicely by Markram, but can't beat mid-off. The South African fans get excited when they hear the ball come off the bat in the right way, but again, no run.
It does feel like this crowd has gone from big 75% South African to 95% South African today. Just the loud roar around the ground when Bauma got that first single, the first run of the day, kind of told you what most people who have come here have come to see. There are a lot of travelling Australians.
Yes.
Bumped into quite a few of them.
As Hazelwood runs in beautiful sunshine from the pavilion end. Markram defends a foolish ball very stoutly out into the covers. No run. There's no sense of South Africa having a dip, trying to get there quickly. None of that.
Yeah.
They'd have been sleeping on this. We will, of course, I wasn't here for the last half an hour, but presumably would have talked about the only test at Bridgetown, 1992. That incredible collapse. Ambrose and Walsh.
Who else? Those two.
And there are bowlers of similar calibre in this Australian side. If you're a South African listening in, please do get in touch. Let us know just how absolutely petrified you currently are. So I revel in other people's misfortune. Hazelwood comes in again. That's full and defended again. Back to the bowler. End of the over on the Tyre Power scoreboard. Your trusted tyre experts. South Africa 3 for 227. Need a further 55.
If I asked you to go outside now, grab a shovel and hack through your internet or water connection, would you do it? Of course not. It'd cost you a fortune to fix, plus being without internet or water for hours or days would drive you mad. Yet digging without searching before you dig online first is a gamble. Or worse, if you strike a gas or electricity main. Before every job, search Before You Dig online every time. And never dig blind.
SEN Test Cricket for Henley Holmes. If you want to get in touch with us, please do. We'd relish hearing from you on 0433 98 11 16. That's 0433 98 11 16 to send us your text. Let us know where you're listening from, how you're feeling, how you're shaping up today.
It looked like Nathan Lyon was checking in on Tristan Stubbs there, like he likes to do with the opposition, and it's also a sign that Nathan Lyon is coming on to bowl from the other end. Just had a quiet word with Stubbs.
Cummins runs away from us, continuing from the nursery end. Stubbs is forward in defence. The ball hits the stumps at the non-striker's end, but it didn't touch any part of Cummins on the way. So Markham was perfectly safe.
Yeah, if Steve Smith was out there, he would have said, ha ha ha, best fielder in the game. He can't help himself. He has to say it every time the ball hits the stumps at the non-striker's end. I don't think he's in that kind of mood this morning. Sat up there in the balcony.
I would argue it isn't the best fielder in the game because it seldom catches the ball.
That's true.
Just can't hold on.
That's why he says this with a laugh. You can't get him out.
Cummins into Stubbs, who pushes off the back foot nicely, thinks of a single, it isn't there. It's picked up in the covers by Constas. Was out there, of course, for Stephen Smith with that bad dislocation. Obviously out now of the West Indies tour, we presume, yes?
Yeah, well,
hasn't
we don't
been confirmed,
know.
no?
There has been some news that I'm sure Adam would have read out during his stint from the Australian camp that he didn't need surgery, so that's good.
Oh, that's good. That is good, yeah. And it is only, I say only, but it's probably of all the digits you're going to do as a right-handed batter in a weird kind of way that the pinky on the right hand, as this is defended into the offside, there's no runs, it picked up at short extra cover. Probably the least offensive, because one on the top hand you still put a fair bit of pressure on, but actually I seem to remember somebody quite recently batting with a broken finger and just slightly adjusted their grip, and it was a bottom hand. And it might have been the same finger, actually. And
the pinky.
Sort of said it was the one that he could adapt most. So, look, you know, not necessarily, he's not ruled out until we hear he's ruled out, is he?
No, the wound, they say, would heal in 2 weeks and he will be able to bat. He has to wear the splint for 8 weeks, so...
8 weeks, okay.
So if he can tolerate batting with the splint on, if there's one thing Steve Smith does...
Cummins is in and strikes the pad, rolls out into the onside. There's a muted appeal. The ball was rather drifting down, even though it's drifting down, but drifting up the hill, if you know what I mean. Umpire is waiting to give a signal. Oh, now then, they've gone upstairs.
For it. All right.
Well, this is a surprise. We have got ourselves a review, which is rather fun. Let's see how this plays out.
I didn't expect Pat Cummins to go for the review. It was a faint appeal, wasn't it? At best, it was a and then it just turned around, and you know why? Because it's missing leg stump by quite a bit.
That is a dismal review. I mean that is up there with Headingley 2019. That review.
It is.
Let's hope it doesn't come back to bite the Aussies. They've still got a couple in the bank, haven't they? So I suppose. I disagree with people who say it's worth a look when it's so flagrantly not out. It actually isn't worth a look, but you can understand why he did. It's more through desperate hope than anything else. The ball struck the pad and the ball's definitely going down the leg side. We're going through the motions now. All the players are back in position. Even the impact umpires call on leg stump, so that tells you it's missing by a couple of inches at least, probably a fourth stump. You can imagine a second leg stump. And so leg by is now finally signalled. 3 for 228. Another 54 required.
And the field changes a little more. So Bo Webster's come out of the slip cordon. He's going into a conventional square leg position next to the umpire, which means Travis Head goes a little finer on the boundary.
Cummins comes in once again. Now it's pulled by Markham really well. Out towards the deep mid-wicket boundary. It's going to get there. You can hear from the cheers. It is definitely getting there. And it's slapped in short, but on this pitch it's not getting up at the moment. You can see why Cummins wanted to have a look, test the surface, but it was not responsive. And Markham, who's in very fine nick. It is a good shot. It's around about sternum height. Needed to be about 7 or 8 inches higher at least.
He's played some great shots in this innings and 2 spectacular shots, both boundaries this morning already.
50 to win. Cummins. In once more, Markram waits and then defends a full ball on off stump to the raucous cheers of the crowd. It's mostly South African. On the tyre power scoreboard, your trusted tyre expert, South Africa, need 50 more. They're 3 for 232.
Belgravia Apparel, in partnership with New Balance, is the exclusive teamwear provider to Cricket Australia for all state and territory associations. And Belgravia Apparel give community cricket clubs the same treatment, offering high-quality New Balance playing, training and off-field teamwear. Plus, place a club order by June 30 and you'll enter the draw to win 20 GA tickets to take your team to a Big Bash game in your state. For all the details, follow Belgravia Apparel on socials. T's and C's apply.
SEN Test Cricket for Henley Holmes. Now, don't miss a moment of State of Origin Game 2 live from Perth Stadium this Wednesday across the SEN network. It's your choice between Blues Radio, Maroons Radio, or the unbiased call, Australia's biggest sporting rivalry, right here on SEN. Nathan Lyon is coming into the attack from the pavilion end. Didn't have a great day yesterday, and I think, would it be fair to say, Bharat, that this isn't really an easy pitch for Lyon because it's so slow. But Markram was able to play him very deep. He was able to go deep into his crease, and balls that normally would be played off the front foot. There was no bounce. There was none of that bite that Lyon likes.
Yeah, his overspin hasn't really got much, or he's not got too much to work with this overspin, and no bounce on the pitch often can negate what Nathan Lyon brings as a threat. So you'll always see when he's not bowling with a leg slip, that's not a great sign. While Mitchell Starc is also warming up. Could well be not the last throw of the dice yet, but not too far from there. 50 runs to win. Stubbs has got his eye in. Nathan Lyon did whisper a couple of words in Stubbs' ear during the last over, or maybe just telling him, hey, I've never bowled to you before. So looking forward to that.
I'll tell you what else is sort of in view. I mean, it's not really germane just yet, but I didn't think it was ever going to be an issue, is a second new ball. As Lyon comes in from the pavilion end. It's defended from the crease by Stubbs into the onside. No run, because started today needing 69. Only 19 runs have been scored in 45 minutes. Some overs have been bowled. Now, if they go at 2 and over for 15 overs, and Australia will still have 20 runs to play with a new ball, they obviously need a couple of wickets.
At least 2 more, yeah.
In that time. So, look, it's none of this is really germane yet, but it could yet be. And so Cummins would love Nathan Lyon to be able to burgle him a wicket or 2. He's in now to Stubbs. Wide of the off-stump, plays and misses. That one that goes through to Carey, that was a nervous shot. It was very wide. He could easily have left it. Instead, he played a defensive poke to a ball that was 8th stump.
You do wonder, right? In T20 cricket, in white ball cricket, Tristan Stubbs just feasts on spinners. You charge at them.
Well, this is different today, isn't it? Lyon is in again. He comes forward and watchful defence pushes into the offside behind square, picked up by Khawaja. Is Khawaja the normal slip to Lyon?
But Steve Smith.
Yeah, I guess.
In his absence, yeah. He's around generally in that slip cordon, but
just not Bo Webster, who's been doing it for the quicks. Lyon is in again. He turns a trifle as he plays it off the back foot, plays it back to the bowler. There's no run. I can't get out of my head whenever I look at Tristan Stubbs of Hugo Weaving playing Douglas Jardine.
Correct.
In the mini-series Bodyline. Doing it very well, very well, very well. As Lyon is in again. This does turn quite gently, but played from the crease.
I'm humming the tune right now in my head.
Remind me, because I used to hear it. I watched and rewatched that so many times.
Yeah.
Although the depiction of Percy Fender did slightly offend me.
The over-dramatisation of Eddie Painter.
Oh, yes. The tonsillitis. Oh, now that has turned, and he's gone back into his crease and managed to clip it off a thick inside edge to short square leg. And he'd get through for a single. The only run of the over on the tyre power scoreboard. Your trusted tyre expert, South Africa, need another 49 there. 3 for 233.
Ozito brushless home and garden power tools are built to work. Tough isn't something you just claim. It's something you prove. It's about handling the hard, repetitive stuff without giving up. Testing what you're made of and what you're working with. When it comes to doing tough jobs around the home, do it yourself. Ozito brushless power tools. Do you? Only at Bunnings Warehouse.
SEN Test Cricket for the Henley Breakthrough Collection. Billed from only $227,900. Change of bowler. Skipper's brought himself off. Mitchell Stark has come on. He's been expensive but wicket-taking in this innings. 9 overs, 2 for 53, so going in pretty much a run a ball. But he did get those 2 breakthroughs yesterday. They need him to do so now. Have we seen any hints of reverse? Not really, have we?
Not really in this game. Yeah, so...
It's a lush outfield, I guess.
These two would have seen quite a bit of each other during the IPL season. Stubbs and Stark played for the same team, Delhi.
You do brilliantly to remember those things. You know, I commentated 10 games in the IPL and I genuinely keep on forgetting who plays for which team. It's really... what's wrong with me? I can pretty much do the Gujarat Titans top 3 and then after that I struggle.
I'm getting there as well. More time has been away from India, especially with these young Indian cricketers coming through.
Suryavanshi. Yes.
He's 14.
He's 14, isn't ridiculous. Stark is in. That's all cut at, nibbled at, and missed by Stubbs through to the keeper.
I'm a little worried about Tristan Stubbs. Just even the innings in the first, or his knock in the first innings in here, he almost comes out to bat in Test cricket, or what we've seen so far anyway in this game. Like he wants to bat like a Test batter. There's no fluency.
Yep.
He defends a lot of balls and then just wafts at a few. And there's no commitment either on his footwork or even what shot he wants to play. Just probably needs one boundary to just get himself going.
Just needs some positivity, doesn't he, out there? And Stark is into him once again. And this is defended into the offside, but firmly. That's a better shot. Goes straight to forward point, if you like, or cover. Bo Webster is fielding.
And what Australia won't mind is it's also keeping Markram away from the strike. So far, in the highlight of the Markram-Bauma partnership was the rotation of strike, number of singles. Rarely did we see an over or even a period of 3-4 balls where there wasn't a single. So
isn't that weird? Having got rid of the guy who's got the hamstring problem, suddenly the singles have dried up. I mean, the field is tight. There's a short extra cover. There's a wide first slip and a gully. And Stark is into Stubbs, who defends again at the offside. This time a little squarer, but Webster's able to move to his left to field. And there is no run. I just looked on the Chemist Warehouse replay screen. The last ball of the previous over from line, and there was actually a bit more turn, and there's a little bit more bounce off that ball. So I wonder if that's a portent of things to come. Stark needs to keep it relatively dry at this end if a second new ball is going to become at all relevant. But South Africa are going very slowly, and there's some nervous anticipation all around this ground. Nervous, to say the least. The ground authorities are getting more and more excited about one other thing, which I'll tell you about in a minute. As Stark is in, this is driven back up the wicket towards mid-on, where Head does the fielding. There's no run. Because, of course, refund time.
Yes.
How many overs need to be bowled for a full refund? How many overs need to be bowled for a partial refund? All these matters will be going through the heads of the ground authority here. I may have mentioned yesterday that last year, same problem bedevilled the Lord's Test match against the West Indies. Timmy Anderson, his last match. And what Lords did was refund everybody immediately into their bank accounts. So they suddenly had 150 odd quid to go and spend here and hang out at the ground. Will they be doing the same thing today? As Stark is in, this is pushed into the offside field at short extra, no run. How many overs left of the day? So 79 after this. This is the 17th over of the day. And I think there's some gentle signs of celebration taking place in the Lord's offices here.
Especially that person who is in charge of refunding all these people.
Well, I mean, it'll be less money here because ticket prices are less for this match, which has worked really well, incidentally. Also, I saw a report. I might come back to this next over? Because you might know, you will definitely know more about it than me, because you're a hard-working, assiduous journalist. As Stark is in, around the wicket, and that is defended by Stubbs. It's a maiden over. Runs have dried up here. On the Tyre Power scoreboard, your trusted tyre experts. South Africa still need 49 to win. It's 3 for 233.
Looking for the perfect place to call home? Discover Office Essential by Your Land Developments. Live at the centre of everything in Melbourne's vibrant southeast. Close to shops, public transport, schools, parks and more. House and land now available. Visit officeessential.com.au today. Join an established community where everything you need is just a short walk away. Life at the centre of everything. Find out more at officeessential.com.au. T's and C's apply.
SEN Test cricket for Henley Holmes. Yes, before the start of this game, Jay Shah, ICC, Big Honcho was...
Rang the bell.
Yeah, rang the bell. Was due in town. And the talk had been that the next World Test Championship, that Ahmedabad would be putting in a bid. And this kind of assumption is that when something Indian puts in a bid to the ICC, that's as good as just saying, yeah, no, we'll do it next.
Yeah, or it's already a decision. It's already been taken.
Yeah, but it's dressed up as a bid. It was a very good bid. It was a very good bid.
Yeah.
So I think everybody just thought, oh, well, that's what's happening next time. What a surprise. As Lyon is in for the pavilion end. That's all spins quite sharply back into Markram, who's in a tangle. Defends it in the end, and it plops out to the onside. These are nervous moments for South Africa. Anyway, the sort of a bit of a volte-face on that overnight. I was reading that it looks like the next 3 World Test Championship finals are likely to be in England, probably Lords.
Yep.
Is that the idea?
Yep. The original idea.
As Lyon is in again, forward comes Markram defending back up the wicket to the bowler. And I guess that might be in part because Jay Shah's been here and he's seen for a neutral test. Really quite a staggering number of fans from both the countries involved, you know.
And it's time of the year as well. I mean, you want to... This is the window you have for it, and June you can't play cricket in India because of the rains.
Lyon is in. Markram comes forward, squirts off the outside edge. It's going down towards deep backward point, or actually deep third, as Bo Webster runs round from deep backward point to field, and they get 2 streaky runs. Markram moves to 117, 3 for 235, and now the requirement is 47. But when I sat down about 25 minutes ago on commentary, and I haven't seen a lot of runs, and I've seen a lot of nervous poking. As Lyon is in once again, that's defended into the offside up to mid-off.
And Ahmedabad is also, speaking of bidding for things, is bidding for the 2036 Olympics. So
is it?
Yep, it is.
Goodness me.
So, yeah, there's a lot at play here. The meeting is in Singapore, where good things happen, I'm told.
And again, this turns and is played uppishly to short mid-wicket.
That's the ICC meeting in Singapore. So the decision will be taken in Singapore about the World Test Championship final.
Right.
The next 3. And it looks like it might remain here.
I mean, it is a bit of a pain for sides, isn't it, to have to come all the way to England, I guess, in a way. But the flip side of that, as this is clipped into the onside but straight to short mid-wicket, is that we get a good spectacle. End of the over on the Tyre Power scoreboard. Your trusted tyre experts. South Africa still need 47. They're 3 for 235.
It's never been more important to buy Australian than right now. Our local manufacturers and growers produce world-class products known for their quality, safety and reliability, all while generating local jobs, supporting our communities and helping Australian families now and into the future. So look for the trusted green and gold kangaroo logo. Buy Australian now. Visit australianmade.com.au.
SEN Test cricket for the Henley Breakthrough Collection. Billed from only $227,900. Damien Fleming is coming to sit down alongside me and Bharat Sundaresan. And Mitchell Stark is going to continue. Second over of his spell. First over was a maiden, his first maiden of the innings. He's in to Markram, who defends, Stubbs, I beg your pardon, who defends to point. cover, and there's no run. Runs are drying up, Flem.
Yeah, I got a wicket in me here.
Yeah, do you feel it? You feel it?
I went down, I had a water, I reflected.
Yes.
I've got myself into good commentary nick here.
You feel it in your fingers.
Yes.
You feel it in your toes.
What's that one again?
It's that song, isn't it?
Yeah, which one is it?
I feel it in my fingers. Is it wet or something? I feel it in my
That was massive
toes.
one year I was playing over here. I reckon it was 93.
It's possible.
League cricket and the Ashes. It was number one for ages.
Yeah.
Love is all around us.
Love is all around us. Stark is in, and that's defended at the offside. No love from
What was
Stark.
their second biggest
No
hit?
run. The second biggest hit.
Yeah, their second
What
biggest
have I
hit.
done? Why have I started this?
Come on.
You put me on the spot. Where's a producer when you need them? Andrew Sampson, by the way, is here, and I don't think I've ever seen his face is a contortion of tension.
Oh, I tell you what, I just bumped into Graham Smith.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. How's he?
He's
easily bumped into.
He said, I'm
incidentally.
not going to lie to you, I feel like a gin and tonic or something.
Start in. This is defended back up the wicket again, just targeting the stumps. The ball's pushed up to head, and there's no run.
And he's as strong a South African batsman,
A very,
captain
very
as we've ever
powerful man.
seen.
Yes, I will preserve the anonymity of the subject in question, but I have seen him once pick up a slightly worse for wear colleague who was dancing on a table in a Birmingham pub in 2019. Just lift him with one arm, take him into his cab.
And did you say thank you?
He is a distinctly powerful man. Start in again, round the wicket to Stubbs. Stubbs who guides, he's going to get a run. He guides this off the front foot through backward point, down towards the boundary. Fielder there, tidies up, sends the throw in. Every run, it's becoming rarer and rarer in the last 25 minutes as South Africa inched their way.
So you're the music guy.
Yeah.
You can't give me a second song from Wet Wet Wet. They had 14 top 10 hits in England.
Did they?
Wow.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Don't look.
Okay. Was one of them I'm wet?
That's the name of the band.
Right, yes, okay.
Actually, I'll go. I think I know. Very soft ballady, Sweet Surrender.
Sweet Surrender, yes, I sort of do remember that.
Okay.
Yeah. Stark in, pulled out towards deep square. Fielder in pursuit should cut it off. Hazelwood running round. It was slightly aerial, but most importantly for South Africa, it's a run. Just the one run. It was out there for a long time. Good Night Girl in 1991. That was apparently a number one.
Okay. Yeah, not massive in Australia.
No.
It said Sweet Surrender charted. Love is all around us, but Scottish.
I'm not going to be falsely modest. You know, we've produced some good music in this country, but Wet 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 is not necessarily one that I would export hugely. You know.
You started singing their song though. That's what's inspired
it's
this.
stuck in your head, isn't it? Starks in. Last ball of the over. Driven firmly up to mid off. They go through for a quick single. Shy of the stumps. Misses.
Good fielding.
Ooh, I wonder. I think Stubbs might have been safe, but it's very, very close. When we come back, we will take a look on the Chemist Warehouse replay screen. But at the end of the over, 3 from it. South Africa need 44. They're 3 for 238. We're going to have not a change in the commentary box because it's not here.
Temba Bavuma was caught behind from the bowling of Cummins for 66, but from that point forward, it's been slow going but relatively smooth sailing. Adam Collins, Damien Fleming with you. They're at 3 for 238. The target's 282. They're creeping there, but they're getting there, Flem.
25 runs in an hour, so, you know, it hasn't been free-flowing, but they've still got 7 wickets in hand, South Africa, and still think with Australia, if they can just get Markram, who's played an incredible innings. Even today, you know, he's got some good deliveries, but he's looked rock solid. Australia just need this opportunity to bring some new batsmen in. And you feel it has to happen in this first half an hour.
I wonder whether South Africa, having now gotten themselves back in, and of course Markram central to that, adding 16 runs in the first hour, whether he might go, right, okay, let's try and really give ourselves a chance of breaking the back of it once and for all. Once and for all, and finish this thing inside.
Yeah, I haven't seen any signs of that. I mean, if he gets a thrown up half volley, you'd have to back that he could hit it straight down the ground. It's not big. Obviously, not a big ground here at Lord's, but I think Nathan Lyon there's enough turn. The thing that's hurting him a bit, it's just slow. But if he gets a wicket, you can see incoming batsmen just probing and defending, and he could be able to spin the ball through the right-hander's gate. You know, a catch at bat pad.
Yep. One
with the arm to first slip. I just feel like Nathan Lyon's in the game, and despite him not getting a wicket yet.
Yeah, he's bowled a couple of overs this morning for 3 runs. Delivers here, new hour begins to Stubbs, and it's worked out to deep mid-wicket where there's a sweeper. It's Constas, so that leaves them 43 to win. 3 for 239. Stubbs, 8 from 37. He hasn't looked anything like the fluent white ball striker that we know he is, but he's just trying to hold on, trying to avoid making any error.
It's still a crucial partnership, isn't it, after losing Bavuma early?
They came together 22 runs ago. Line up, delivers here. Well forward, Markram takes one to cover. So they've started the hour well with 2 singles either side of the wicket. Every run, of course, being cheered by the crowd. 3 for 240, 42 away. Andrew Sampson is with us as well. Just give us a sense of how you're feeling. South African cricket historian. You've ridden the bumps. Bowling here is Lyon. Wide outside the off stump. Stubbs, a tempter, places it to mid-off.
Yeah, there have been a few bumps, mostly bumps. I mean, I've been following cricket for 50 years, over 50 years. The first 20 of them, South Africa didn't play Test cricket. But it was that. And then when they finally did, it was a famous game in Bridgetown, which there's been a bit of discussion about.
Yes, we touched on it before. Stubbs reverse sweep, misses it, loves that shot, but doesn't make contact. And there was no appeal, so didn't quite hit him adjacent. We're behind the action here at the nursery, and we'll see whether he got an inside edge on it as well. Yeah, he did.
It's a shot he's comfortable with in white ball cricket. There's just a little bit more turn in this pitch.
The inside edge actually saved him there watching the replay. Line bowls here, Stubbs back to a hard spun delivery into the onside, no run. Chemist Warehouse replay screen, we saw that on.
I mean, there's a couple of journalists who were at that game in Bridgetown in 92 who are here today.
Right.
Colin Bryden and Telford Vice.
Oh, was Telford there? I didn't know that. Amazing.
It was his first trip, his first job virtually.
Remarkable. Lyon, last ball of the over, will come back to this, Samo. And past the edge of Stubbs.
There's been a lot of that.
It slid past. It was the over spinner. It's the end of the over. 2 singles from it. Lyon in the game. 42 to win at 3 for 240. Marker and 119 on the Tyre Power scoreboard. Your trusted tyre experts.
Help yourself to helpful healthcare and huge savings at Chemist Warehouse. Stock up on Gastro Stop Plus, 20 chewable tabs, just $8.99. Try Nexium 24-hour, 20 milligram, 14 tablets for $10.99. Pick up Wagner Professional Immunity Force, 60 vegetarian capsules, now $28.99. And LifeSpace Probiotic for 60 plus years, only $35.99. For great savings every day, come home to Chemist Warehouse.
Stark and Lyon operating together as they have for so many occasions over the years. SEN Test cricket for Henley Holmes. Stark, so important with bat and ball through the Test so far. Can they get one more big effort from him here?
It's interesting that TV are using the bouncer bowling average in UK Tests, and Lords is the one that works best.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it has been ineffectual here because of the slowness of the pitch. So it's an Australian tack that used the bouncer very, very well. We saw it here 2 years ago, didn't we?
Sure did.
But not on this pitch.
Stark's operating around the wicket, played out towards deep point where there is a sweeper. Markram to 120. 3 for 241. It's 41 to go. Yeah, that test match, it was almost the slowness of the bounces that brought the downfall of both batting lineups when they were...
But they were getting up.
Oh, sure, they were getting up.
Batsmen weren't always able to just keep it down, whereas we saw last night, Hazelwood bowled a couple of good ones, and it took ages to get to the batsmen. They weren't rushed at all. They could control the stroke. So you take that out of the equation, it's a big one, isn't it? Because one, you can get a wicket with it, you can get the dangerous player off strike, but it's also pushing the opposition batsman back, which sets them up for bowls and LBWs.
Mid-wicket up for Stubbs. Stark to him. Down the leg side, has a go at it. Carey kind of half-heartedly appeals. Cummins at mid-off is a bit more interested than Stark is the bowler. Ooh. Now, Carey's saying, I've heard something. That's the kind of body language we're getting here, and Cummins goes upstairs.
Well, they got
two reviews remaining, 41 to get. And we do see Australia have a dart at this one on the basis that there was just enough interest there from Carey, having
nothing
heard
from
something.
Stark, was there? Nothing from Stark, but this would be oh geez,
it's close.
One of it looks close.
First front on it. Oh, hello. Glove. Bottom glove. So that is going to be very, very interesting. We're only seeing it front on, and the players are seeing the same replay we are, and the Aussies have all run in. They reckon they're half a sniff here. It's going to come down to snicker. Here we go, ultra edge, and it is...
It's got to be hitting, hasn't it? No.
It is not touching the glove. It is not touching the glove. It is ever so close. That replay looks like it might have been kissing, but it didn't. Not according to the technology. So Stubbs gets through that referral. Australia only have one left for what it's worth. That's for Imar. For Trusted Tradies Insurance, call 13 Imar.
I mean, that was that close, I suppose. You had to do that. I mean, without Ultra Edge, and that's why you've got it, off the vision, you would have thought that come off his glove. No, Stark was always saying he didn't hear anything, but the keeper's the one that's got it, and it wouldn't have been much of a noise. It was more a little bit of deflection, isn't it?
On the Aussie balcony, Coach Andrew McDonald is looking at the new balls. They're going to work out which one they select out of the box.
They need a very good one.
If they get that far. Stark bowls here. And he's through him! Boom! Comprehensive! No need for the third umpire there. Stark hits the stumps of Stubbs. He's bowled for 8. They've got a second wicket in the morning. It's 4 for 241. Still 41 to go. Might there be another twist?
I think there will be. I don't think any incoming South African batsman will be comfortable until it gets under 10 runs. And that's a beauty. That's an excellent length from Mitchell Stark, who really battled with his length yesterday, went over a run of ball. But his ability to come around the wicket as a left-hander to right-handers is significant. That has just hit the Zing bails. They're flying. So Stubbs goes, and Australia, they'll feel like they're a sniff here.
So it kissed the inside edge, the top of leg stump. As you say, that Zing bail flew into the sky, and Stubbs trudges through the long room. And now they will sense, given how slowly South Africa have batted this morning, but if they can get another here, and it's not quite at that point where we're into the lower middle order or anything like that. David Bedingham was their best player in the first innings.
It's
and of
course,
the
attack, isn't it? You know, Mitchell Stark, he gets into a rhythm. This is what he does. Fast, slinger. If there's any type of reverse swing, which could happen in the next half an hour or so, you know, he's going to maximise it. And I still keep saying, Colin, I think Nathan Lyon's unlucky at the other end. We saw one ball almost go through the gate last over. They're experienced, this Australian team. You know, they're going to try until this last run.
Seeing it again on the Chemist Warehouse replay screen. That is class. The amount of movement he's generated there on the angle, but it is still up the slope as well. That's not for nothing. And hitting that leg bail, perfection. The stuff you love as a fast bowler. Top of the stumps. Stubbs, it was an innings where he was just holding on for dear life, you sensed.
You just feel like that type of delivery, you know, could bring a few, couldn't it? You know, he's using the angle against the slope, and the length was absolutely perfect.
So Stark's got 3 wickets in the innings, 3 of the 4. Third over of his spell. A successful one already to the new man Bettingham. Top scored with 45 in the first innings. To him here, and he's past the edge, not far away from the off stump as well. This is where Mitchell Starc, as you point out, Flem, when he gets hot, when he gets in rhythm, he's such a handful, always has been.
And it's not easy to come out at the pressure of the batting in a World Test final, 41 runs away from a win. But also, you know, we always talk about the slope here at Lords. It's sloping away from the right-hander, but Mitchell Starc is bowling around the wicket, wide of the crease, and angling the ball in. So as a batsman, is it going to go against the slope, or is it going to go with the slope?
Starc, 2 slips to the gully to the new man Bettingham. His second ball here, wide on the crease, round the wicket, defended out to cover.
And he batted well, as you said, in the first innings here, Bettingham, but he has got a technical issue where he falls across the crease and he plays in front of his front pad, swiping generally from gully across. And when he hits it in the middle of the bat, it flies. But if his timing's out, if his eyes are not quite right, I can see an LBW or bowled here from Mitchell Starc.
Last ball of the over. That's what he's striving for. Wide on the crease, around the wicket, bowls here. Outside part of the bat, Bettingham managed to steer it past green to the right of gully, down to deep backward point for 1. Off the mark, retains the strike. Starc gets the wicket of Stubbs in the over. It's 4 for 242 in the final. 40 to win. That's on the Tyre Power scoreboard.
Before hitting the road on your next Aussie adventure, do your vehicle a favour with Maxliner. Maxliner has now landed in Perth, stocking premium 4x4 accessories available for your vehicle. They're made for tough Aussie conditions and are ready for you to explore, like canopies, floor mats, tub liners, roof racks, rooftop tents and more. Every product is built with durability and functionality in mind. Maxliner, ready for work days and weekends away. To find your nearest stockist or to shop online, visit maxlineraustralia.com.
40 to win flashes up on the screen here, the Chemist Warehouse replay screen. Adam Collins and Damien Fleming to our left, Andrew Sampson, pensive to say the least.
But more stressed than I was a few minutes ago, yes.
So Nathan Lane, can he get some luck, Flem? 22nd over, bowls here, forward is Bettingham, pushing back to him, yet to take a wicket in the test match. Can he get hot here as well? Long on the only, long on and deep square leg in front of Father Time, the 2-man back. Slipping a short leg, trying to turn it down the slope through the gate of Bettingham. Delivers to him here, he goes back, tucks it into the onside, no concerns.
A little bit fuller than that. We're talking about this slow pitch and what a good length is on this, and it's definitely into the fuller side. If you're closer to that short of a length, it's too easy to go on the back foot and punch it through the gap.
Lyon bounces in, bowls here, a bit fuller there to Bettingham, who gets it straight of short leg to mid-wicket, no run.
There's opportunities here for Nathan Lyon. And the one is also the outside edge, the one that he bowls over the top spinner.
Lyon delivers to Bettingham. He goes back again to a hard spun delivery. So at the moment, Lyon's trying to rip it through the gate, 90 kilometres an hour. You're right, Flem. He beat the bat with the overspinner in the previous over, didn't he? When does that come? Beautiful seam position. We're seeing it on the Chemist Warehouse replay screen. He's getting a lot right here, Lyon. And something break the spinner's way. Bettingham waits for him. He's on 1. Lyon from the pavilion end, bowls here close to the stumps. It's a quicker ball, knocked into Travis Head's leg. They don't get a run for it, so in the end, well stopped. Lyon darted that one in.
He did.
96 kilometres an hour.
What's he going to do now? I still think the opportunity is for the big turner outside the batsman's eye line. Maybe encourage a cover drive, off drive.
5 dots so far. Lyon to finish, bowls here outside the off stump, and it's tucked to mid-wicket, so no damage on the scoreboard. Bettingham on 1, Markram 120, gets the strike back, 40 to win. That 4 for 242 on the Tyre Power scoreboard.
Step
into Chemist Warehouse for stunning skincare and savings. Grab Thayer's anti-blemish treatment 15ml for $15.99. Soothe Skin with Aveeno Skin Relief Moisturising Lotion 1 litre, $17.99. Try L'Oreal Paris Revitalift Filler Day Cream 50ml, just $27.49. And for a bright smile, try Oral-B Power Toothbrush IO3 Series Clean and Whiten, now $99.99. For great savings every day, come home to Chemist Warehouse.
Leading wicket taker for Belgravia Apparel is Mitchell Stark for Australia for quality New Balance cricket team, where he's got 3 for 58. He'll continue from the nursery. And Andrew Sampson.
We'll be talking a bit about making the highest total of the match to win a test match. First time that happened was also South Africa's first test match win back in 1906 at the Old Wanderers in Johannesburg, now the railway station. South Africa made 27 for 9 to beat England. First test match win, 48 wicket partnership for the last wicket.
Wow. Stark here, wide of the crease. Driving is Markram, stopped at cover, or pace taken off it by Labuschagne. They only get 1, otherwise it would have been 4. So he thrust out the right hand. He's looking at his right pinky finger.
Brilliant, Marnus.
Yeah.
Well done, Marnus. You've saved 3 runs there. Was that on the mats?
Ooh, ouch.
There at the Wanderers.
It would have been definitely on mats in those days. 30-31 was the first time South Africa played test cricket on turf pitches.
It's a shame. Yeah, it's hurt Marnus there. Yeah. I'd like Stark to have got a few deliveries at Markram.
On the other side of it, you flip that round, gets a go at the new man Bettingham. Can they keep one end open with a new flat batter?
I can see an LBW here.
Extra man jumps into the cordon. Bettingham facing Stark, who plays again through backward point. More wood on it than the previous over. Work to do, heading down the slope. Constance the sub collects. They return for a third. Close run thing if it throws a direct hit, but it's not. That was really well played by Bettingham. 148 kilometres an hour, played it under his eyes, soft enough hands to evade Cameron Green in the gully. He's 4, strike goes back to Markram. 4 for 246.
Yeah, he's got it twice through there now. I think the Australians need to clog that up, and I'd rather it with a catcher. I think a gully fieldsman would have stopped those 2 shots. But now they've got a hybrid.
Yeah, they've chucked a man in that position, but how would you describe it, Flem? It's like a deep gully.
A fly gully.
Fly gully. They used that for Giants during the summer, didn't they? Stark round the wicket, bowls here, and Markram goes back and gets 1 to mid-wicket. Already a productive over, scoring from the first 3 deliveries. 4 for 247, 35 to win.
Let's see where Green goes now. I think he's a little bit wider. He's going to that. Oh, where is he going? Yeah, it's a deep gully. I think that's a better position here for Bedring.
It's interesting. They had that fly gully. Was it for the wrong batter? Did they put it out there for Markram? It wasn't Markram playing the shot. Anyway.
As well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it feels as though they were putting a fielder in. Anyway, it's neither here nor there, because, as you say, that he's adjusted now. Halfway through the over, it's Bettingham facing. He's on 4. Stark round the wicket, delivers. Full straight Yorker dug out. Kind of caught it on the full to his advantage.
Yeah, I like that length. That's excellent. That's an uncomfortable one when you're facing. Left arm quick around the wicket, angling against the slope, or is it the one that goes back in?
It's been a fast over as well. That was 145. 2 balls ago was 148, so both above 90 mile an hour in the old money. .35 left for South Africa. You can just sense the tension, the angst in the crowd with those dark green South African shirts the fans are wearing. 2 left. Stark, crucial spell. Into Bettingham, bowls here. Back of a leg. Hits him on the pad. Doesn't get up. Umpire Gaffney says no. He went back to pull and it did not get up. Last review as well. They've blown 2 this morning. Carey straight up to Cummins. Carey likes it.
We need someone square. You don't have a point or a square leg.
They've gone up. They've gone up. They've had a dart at this, remembering that it'll need to be more than 50% of the ball. It's one of those unusual ones where he's gone back to pull here, Bettingham, and it hasn't gotten up.
Yeah, you gut feel it's going over.
First replay coming up now. Impact will be a challenge as well here, you'd imagine. Yeah, impact outside line off. So this will be decision upheld unless something remarkable happens with ball tracking. Initially, they'll confirm there's no inside edge, which there isn't. Impact was in line, well, on the knee roll, so
it might still clip the bails, but
yeah, do they keep it if it? No, it's impact outside. It was in line with the fourth stump. So Australia have burned through all 3 reviews inside 85 minutes this morning. May well that be a factor.
But it just shows how desperate the Aussies are.
Yeah.
They just need something their way.
I think there was more going for that face value than the first one they went up for, which was a shocker. So Stark remains in the game, pitch up and down. Bowls to Bettingham on 4, completes the over here, does well, gets in behind it, turns it into the onside. So that leaves 35 to win at 4 for 247. Markram 122, Bettingham 4. And we see all of that on the Chemist Warehouse replay screen. Save on your prescriptions at Chemist Warehouse.
DIYers, if you're looking to tackle your next residential home irrigation project, speak to Nutrien Water about their free home irrigation design and quote service. Designs are carried out by an experienced team of home irrigation specialists using professional grade components. Simply download the free planner, then submit your details. They'll then get back to you with a detailed quote for you to consider. To get started, go to nutrienwaterstore.com.au.
This will be the final session of the World Test Championship final. There's no way they'll go to lunch with only 35 runs to win and still 35 minutes until the long break is scheduled here at Lord's. Lyon to Markram. What an innings it's been. 2 back on the leg side, delivers here. Markram goes back and rides the bounce and plays it out to deep backward point for the easiest of singles. 123 for him, 34 to go. Jeremy Coney, hello.
Hi, Adam. Yeah, interesting, isn't it, that Markram's the only one who'll get Lyon away through the offside. He gives himself a little bit of room. Lyon's bowling quite wide outside that off stump because there is substantial turn and a variety of turn. Bettingham's looking to play him into the leg side.
Lyon, familiar approach, pavilion end, delivers here. Bettingham plays towards mid-wicket, but it was uppish. It didn't get anywhere near Labuschagne in that position, but extra bounce.
And as usual, Lyon's doing a good job for his captain, isn't he? He's just giving, seamers a rest at this stage as well, and he's just creating a few little problems for the non-Markram end.
Yes.
Markram himself, I think, hasn't faced as much as maybe they would have liked. So Australia have done quite a good job there, keeping him at the non-strikers end.
South Africa have added 35 runs this morning.
Don't mind this, actually. You see Greens come in to, mid-wicket, mid-pitch position.
So 2 catches. Lyon to Bettingham, goes back and defends.
If you want to hit inside out, you're going against the spin and the slope.
It means the length of the line extremely important because you could go for boundaries if you drag down a bit. So it's a 3-6 field, 6 on the onside.
Lyon bowls and back is Bettingham and trying to access that gap on the offside, but picks out Cummins at wideish mid-off.
Yeah, he can't be any shorter than that.
No.
That was close to getting smashed through the covers there. Fuller.
34 away from the target of 282. Lyon 2 left in the over to Bettingham, who goes back and does place it through that gap. They'll only get 1. Bo Webster around for a backward point to cut it off. 33 left, Bettingham 5 at 4 for 249. Can they create an opening with Markram?
Extra man goes across to the offside now with Markram on strike.
Lyon, last ball to him is on 123. Markram plays comfortably down the ground for 1 to long on where there is a man back. He'll keep the strike as well. 32 runs left. That's the 250 for South Africa. Terrific effort. 4 for 250 at the end of the over. The crowd rises 1, the South Africans that is, with Markram 124 of them.
Belgravia Apparel, in partnership with New Balance, is the exclusive teamwear provider to Cricket Australia for all state and territory associations. And Belgravia Apparel give community cricket clubs the same treatment, offering high-quality New Balance playing, training and off-field teamwear. Plus, place a club order by June 30 and you'll enter the draw to win 20 GA tickets to take your team to a Big Bash game in your state. For all the details, follow Belgravia Apparel on socials. T's and C's apply.
Emblem of how the game's evolved. The fifth 50 by a mile, the slowest for South Africa, 134 balls. The previous four came in 74, 79, 73 and 86. Change of bowling, Flem. Stark, 4 over spell, got the wicket, bowled quickly, created chances, but it's the captain Cummins taking the responsibility with 32 runs left for South Africa. Away from us, Nursery and to Markram. Bowls here, back off the seam, but works it from under his eye with a straight bat out to deep point from the balls of his feet.
He's played that shot so well, hasn't he?
Yep.
I mean, he started with a couple of those last night. He rides it, provides a full face, and at the last inning, he just opens up his wrists, and he can hit it quite hard. Been a wonderful knock.
And it can go to quite an arc, can't it? Just in front of square to anything ground to third man.
So for Bettingham, who's faced 17 balls for his 5, Cummins pops an extra slip in. Deepish gully, cover, deep point sweeping, wideish mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, fine leg. From the Nursery end, can he get again down the slope, find the edge, bowls to Bettingham, goes the other way. Off the seam, back towards the right-hander, defended the cover.
I quite like this matchup, actually. Bettingham's bat path always tends to end up going to the onside. A lot of it is coming from, sort of the slip area across the ball slightly. So if Cummins can actually either get one to hold up a little bit or to go down, against the slope a little bit and bring into the pads, he's got a chance here.
Bettingham taps his bat and waits. And here comes Cummins to the crease and bowls, and Bettingham, middle stump line, pushing to mid-on.
That's the one you're talking about, Jeremy, isn't it? The bat, he falls across the crease, so his front foot goes across to the off stump just to balance himself from falling over, and then the bat has to get around that front pad. And Cummins has noted that and targeted, but he was good enough to get bat on that occasion.
4 for 251. All eyes on Cummins, who pulls out of his run-up. Not sure if that was Bettingham or Cummins, but either way, they'll start again.
I think he had some thoughts in his head. Be better off just planning your next delivery, the best ball you can possibly bowl, a couple of deep breaths, and just clear the mind as you start to run in.
That hum around the ground. The expectation as Cummins gets to the crease, bowls and Bettingham in behind it. Says tidy stuff, defending out to cover.
5 overs to the new ball.
Which we didn't think would be a factor,
but now, but it is. It's in the game now.
That might be why Stark's off, Flem.
And that might be why, but Cummins doesn't normally take it, does he? He's normally this first change with the new ball. Hazelwood's had a good break.
Yeah.
He's ready to rock.
Just that harder ball. It can bring runs, but you just got that pronounced seam. And there has been a little bit of seam movement. We didn't see hardly anything yesterday.
Cummins to Bettingham. He's 5 from 20. Has no choice but to thrust the bat down to a ball that keeps a fraction low. That would have hit middle stump, or it would have hit his pad right in front. Nice adjustment in the crease, building into something here. Can he be there at the end? It poses an interesting question about how they might play the next 31 deliveries. Now, I'm not suggesting they'll try and knock all 31 runs off, far from it. That's not the rhythm of the day, but if they can get 15 of them before the second Newey.
Well, Markram's the key to it now, isn't he? He's certainly the man who's looking to score, and score relatively safely as well.
Last ball of the over, deep square legs, Travis Head dropping back onto the ropes, so 2 out on that side of the ground. Cummins, Nursery and bowls here, it's full and straight and pushed to mid-on, quick single. Stark set deeply enough that they're able to get through pretty comfortably. 30 runs to go and 27 minutes until scheduled lunch, but that'll be extended regardless. 4 for 252. Daniel Norcross in for me. Markram 125, betting him on 6.
Hi, James McLeod, Managing Director of Tobin Brothers Funerals. We often get asked by client families whether a fixed price funeral plan will affect their pension payments. As the investment cannot be accessed, it cannot be used to generate income for you. Therefore, a fixed price funeral plan will not affect any pension payments and is not subject to the income or assets test.
Chat with your accountant or financial advisor first before making a decision. Visit tobinbrothers.com.au. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
SEN Test cricket for Henley Holmes. This game is so tense. It shouldn't be on paper. Only 30 required to win as Lyon comes in to start a new over from the pavilion end. Bit of turn, pushed off the back foot by bedding him into the offside. There's no run, yes. The new ball, 5 overs away. Lyon can bowl 3 parsimonious overs, as Jeremy would say.
What about a wicket, Dan?
Love a wicket.
He's bowled well enough.
He has. He's deserved one today. He's got a bit more grip, hasn't he? A bit more turn.
Yeah, he did his calf here last time 2 years ago. The ground owes him.
Lions, it's a tick 5. Good shot this from Betty, and he's taken a ball that started outside the off stump, and he's managed just to go across his stumps and then tickle it. Now they come back for a third. It's brilliant running. Brilliant running. Stark chasing after it. Threw in. The throw was a little wild, but I don't think even with a good one it would have got rid of Markram.
That looks like
3 more to the toe.
That was a beautiful shot.
It does, doesn't it?
Thrown up outside off stump, spun acutely, and he has meant it. It's a very fine leg glance.
How he's got it there is amazing.
Great shot.
Yeah.
But we have been taught that's his bat plane as well. He's gone with it, but he watched it all the way. Excellent shot.
Very good from Markram to take that third, wasn't it?
Very good.
Yeah, he's the
very good running. 27 needed to win. Lyon is in. He goes back and cuts this late. Gets a single, a little dab. The cheers for every run. There's tension on the faces of the wives and girlfriends and families and whatnot.
I think he's saying like beach balls because that's not a high percentage shot. Spinning with the slope.
It's a little dab.
And I'll show you my stumps and I'll just get down the other end.
Well, he's been batting now for an hour and 35 minutes today on top of all the time he spent out there yesterday. His line is in. This is clipped away into space. It's going to be another run. Goes back into his crease and takes it as easy as you like. There's problems now for Cummins if Lyon is going to lead runs here of 3 and 2 singles. 25 needed to win. This is now Aidan Markram's 4th highest test score. Don't think he's going to... Not enough runs really for him to make it up to 152, his highest at the moment. This is punched off the back foot and Lyon does well to move to his right field of his own bowling.
3 of his 4 against Australia too. It's funny you have teams, don't you? That you do well against
horses
and others
courses,
that you
all that stuff.
Battle.
Alan Lamb used to like playing against the West Indies. Why anyone would want to do that in the 80s, I do not know. Lyon is in the air momentarily, but goes to short mid-wicket. End of the over, 5 from it. 25 needed to win. South Africa 4 for 257.
Did you know that Cobram Estate Extra Virgin Olive Oil supports heart health when consuming 2 or more 15ml serves per day as part of a balanced diet? Cobram Estate is made from olives grown in northern Victoria, which are harvested and first cold pressed within 4 to 6 hours to create a premium quality oil. This is why every bottle is fresh and full of flavour, making your food taste even better. Cobram Estate, premium quality, great tasting, and the most awarded Australian extra virgin olive oil.
In Test cricket for Henley Holmes, South Africa have added 44 runs so far today in a lot of overs. They've lost 2 wickets, but Markram is still there. Bavuma and Stubbs, the men to depart. Caught behind in a bowled. Lovely ball that was from Stark. He's not in the attack at the moment. We've had 20 overs so far today. Cummins is in. And this gets a thick outside half of the bat play with an angled bat, bedding him off the front foot to a ball on off stump, and they scamper through for a run, knocking him off one at a time. 24 now needed to win. Bharat Sundaresan has rejoined us.
Good afternoon, guys. Yeah, just bumped into Graham Smith a few times outside.
Oh, that's what the elastoplast is for.
Yes, exactly that. Obviously, I've gone for an Australian colour, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what really triggered him.
Can you tell the difference? I'm colourblind, but I think they basically have the same kit. That's what it feels like to me. Green and yellowy.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I love the way Catherine sets the clothes out for you.
Does rather need to. Cummins is in now to Markram, who plays this well across his front pad and works it out to the right of Stark, and it's another run. This is now getting really troublesome for Australia.
It's interesting. Markram seems to have found solutions to problems, hasn't he, as he's developed this innings there, because he's going that offside line and getting runs sort of that third man backward point area. So Cummins is sick of that. He's gone much straighter then, and so he's picked him off at sort of at mid-wicket at that time. So it's
mid-wicket's come in now. Mid-wicket's had to come in, so he's manoeuvring this field around nicely. Cummins in, and this is pushed off the back foot, but will not beat cover, and there is no run.
I think Bedingham has played his role as well. It's just 11 runs, but in comparison to what Tristan Stubbs was doing, he's not blocking up one end, so he's ensured that Markram has got his fluency back, the rhythm back anyway.
Yes.
He's been fluent throughout this
that's
inning.
true. He's facing a few more, isn't he? Yeah, 8 from 43 for Stubbs.
Yeah, 11 off 27. You don't mind that in this kind of a chase. I say chase, it's more like stalking, really.
No.
Yeah, they're not chasing anyone in a car, are they? This isn't one of those.
Now, Bo Webster's come out of gully and has been put into a catching short mid-wicket for Bedingham. It's quite a straight mid-wicket as well. Cummins is into Bedingham, and he drives this in the air for a while, but beautifully down the ground. It's going to run up to the boundary, and it's going to get there. Stark can't cut it off. That is a lovely shot from Bedingham. It was aerial for a little while, but it was so straight that mid-on, Stark was in no chance at all, and that requirement comes down now to just 19. We see it again. It nearly hit Markram at the non-striker's end. It was that straight. It's a lovely shot, full face of the bat.
Yeah, normally he'll put that through mid-wicket, but he's actually used the bottom hand to straighten the bat up and the bat pass.
Cummins comes back into him. What's his response? It's full and it's straight, and it's clipped away down to long leg for a single. 18 needed to win. Costly over this. The new ball is now starting not exactly to recede. There might be an over or two of it, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a factor again.
No, I think this innings, short innings from David Bedingham, is exactly what South Africa needed. And just that boundary, the way it was hit, the way it cannoned off his bat, probably the final blow, Daniel. The final blow to Australia. You just get a feeling the rest of the 18 runs will come in a bit of a hurry now.
Well, they often do, don't they, when you get very near the end. Cummins runs into Markram. Markram drives into the offside, but a good diving stop from a committed Labuschagne. Ensures there is no run. It's the end of the over. 18 needed for South Africa. That's all. 4 for 264.
Searching for some supplements and healthcare to keep you moving? Then visit Chemist Warehouse for great savings like Pain Away Joint and Muscle Pain Relief Cream, 70 gram, just $14.75. Relieve constipation with Prunelax Constipation Relief, 80 tablets, only $12.99. Or try Movicol, 30 sachets for $14.99. And grab Bondi Protein Co, 800 gram range, just $29.99 each. For great savings every day, come home to Chemist Warehouse.
Champions Trophy.
SEN Test Cricket for Henley Holmes. We've just got a lovely graphic here of the number of important knockout matches South Africa have lost. Always like looking at these. 10, 12, 13, 14 semi-finals they've lost. And of course, most recently, the T20 World Cup final. South Africa's women as well. Let's not forget them. They're part of the roll call of disappointment. when they were defeated by of all the teams, New Zealand's women.
New Zealand women.
I know. Who looked for all the world dead and buried when they were in England in that
Well,
August,
I think
September.
they probably were dead.
Line in as this ball's clipped into the onside to pick up a single, no run. Georgia Plymouth couldn't buy a run, could she?
No.
Turns up at the World Cup. She takes down South Africa. Their best chance up to that point. But you know what? It'll all be forgotten. Well, with it, I don't know. But it'll be forgotten for today if I'm going to put my neck out when they get over the line. 18 more needed. Lyon is in. Back into his crease. Oh, has he got him? Goes Bellingham. It's clipped into the onside. Now then, it's been picked up at short leg. The question is, has this bounced off Travis Head's foot and then rebounded without touching the ground? So the umpires are now coming together. We know it's come off the bat. It was clipped by Bellingham firmly. They're going to have a look. This is an umpire review. This is not a player review. And the question is, has that ball touched the ground? It was clipped firmly. It's hit. Well, Travis Head's making out it must be his foot because he's limping.
He's hopping
and then it's just sort of almost rolled up and he's taken it. So here we go. Let's have a look. Right, here comes the clip. Bounces. It bounces. Just bounces. Very close. And Travis Head wouldn't know, in fairness to him. He wouldn't know. Because that's so close to that front foot, and all the Aussie fielders now return to their positions. And it's almost as if that sort of tells you this is South Africa's day. On other days for South Africa, that would be out and it would precipitate a collapse and much existential angst. But you kind of think that might be the last moment where fate can intervene. Here's Lyon. Bellingham defends slightly crabbily, a bit concernedly into the offside. There's no run.
And the question is, Daniel, once they do get to this target and finally get rid of the hoodoo that's followed them, what next?
What next?
What's the next narrative for South Africa?
Well, there's a bunch of South African journalists. This next ball is worked up to mid-on. They're going to go through for the run because he's quite deep. Slightly on his heels there, Hazelwood. One more to the total, 17 needed. I mean, and I love them. I love them dearly. I'm thinking of your Telford Vices, your Fidos Mundas, your Dan Gallons, who's at this stage always writing an article about how much this means. Andrew Sampson himself.
They've made a career out of it, haven't they?
As Lyon is in, now strikes the pad. He loves it. He's down, he's imploring. Umpire says no, they do still have none
reviews left.
Oh, now that there was I seem to remember a test match in 2019 when all the reviews were burned.
A wry smile from Pat Cummins. It wasn't, even though he went down on his knees, it wasn't the most confident of a pace. It was doing quite a bit.
A bit high did spin. Line in again, and this is clipped to short leg. Travis Head throws the ball up in the air as if he's caught it, but he hasn't. It's the end of the over, just one from it. South Africa needs 17, they're 4 for 265.
If I asked you to go outside now, grab a shovel and hack through your internet or water connection, would you do it? Of course not. It'd cost you a fortune to fix, plus being without internet or water for hours or days would drive you mad. Yet digging without searching before you dig online first is a gamble. Or worse, if you strike a gas or electricity main. Before every job, search before you dig online every time. And never dig blind.
4 for 265, South Africa. SEN Test cricket for Henley Holmes. They need 17 to win. Bo Webster's coming on to bowl 1 over, is my guess. The 79th of the innings. They just want to bowl dry here. Andrew Sampson's informed me that Telford Bison, Colin Bryden, were at South Africa's first Test match after returning, 1992. That famous Test we've talked about today in Barbados. They have followed this South African side around for 33 years. They've witnessed all of those semi-final heartaches. They've witnessed the women let South Africa down, the men let South Africa down, let their families down, let their countries down. Or at least they've written as if they have. As Webster is in, and this has worked. Way the pads, but can't beat short mid-wicket, no run.
Yeah, just speaking to those South African journalists, they expect at some point today, when South Africa do get over the line, to be part of that celebration, and why not? Like
They should be.
They've all lived through it. I mean, very different to if Australia, well, that's what they do.
Yes.
There's nothing unique in that. There's no novelty in Australia winning a world title.
Well, the tears will flow, I fancy, as Bo Webster is in. And this is pushed off the back foot back to the bowler. It's a very tight field that Cummins has set here. This is all about trying to get a maiden out of Webster and trying to get something similar out of Lyon for the last throw of the dice. A brand new red Duke's ball with a big proud seam. Couple of quick wickets with that. Nerves, jitters, destiny delayed. All that. Could it happen? It's looking increasingly unlikely, but Australia are absolutely not giving up. Webster in again. This is defended back to him, and again there's no run. I remember the World Test Championship final, New Zealand won, and India similarly did not at any stage relent, did they? That partnership of Williamson and Taylor, they didn't bring on any part-time bowlers all the way through to the very last run. New Zealand had to scrap and earn every single one of them.
They're only chasing about 160, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. Webster in. Now it's too short. It's cut away. It's going to be a single. Just a single, but too much width there from Webster off his fourth ball. Every run precious, 16 needed. Andrew Sampson, what we can, I feel like giving him a big hug. He's all over the place at the moment. His breathing is shallow. Let's put it that way. Webster runs away from us at the nursery end. He's into Markram. Again, width, but again, flayed away to deep backward point. And again, it's one more run. It's 15 needed.
He's strong there, isn't he? And he just a little bit of width outside that off stump, and Markram's got a number of ways of dealing with it, and so he can get it finer or squarer depending on which shot he plays.
He's got 128 out of the 267 as Markram, betting him on 18. Last ball of the over. It's again too wide, but it's played into the ground. Labuschagne fields 3 off the over. 15 needed for South Africa. 4 for 267.
Belgravia Apparel, in partnership with New Balance, is the exclusive teamwear provider to Cricket Australia for all state and territory associations. And Belgravia Apparel give community cricket clubs the same treatment, offering high-quality New Balance playing, training and off-field teamwear. Plus, place a club order by June 30 and you'll enter the draw to win 20 GA tickets to take your team to a Big Bash game in your state. For all the details, follow Belgravia Apparel on socials. T's and C's apply.
SEN Test Cricket for Henley Holmes, the World Test Championship final. The monkey off the back, the hoodoo, it feels there. You can almost taste it, you can smell it, you can taste it, can't you, Bharat? So, if you're South African, the Impala's on the braai as Lyons in, goes for a big swing out to deep mid-wicket, and it's going to go on the ground for a single. Markram picks up his 129th run, 14 needed to win.
Yeah, there'll be a few braais around South Africa tonight and during the day, you'd think, Daniel?
Oh, yeah. It's a fire hazard, of course.
It is.
Yes. So be careful out there, especially if you're doing it in London. Lyon tosses one up. It's clipped away fine. It won't get a single, though, because Mitchell Stark is fielding. I was going to say 45. He's more like a sort of 71. Get my protractor out.
I haven't used that in a while.
No, I don't think I've ever used one. Lyon is in, forward in defence comes Beddingham. There's no run.
Just on Markram. I mean, I remember when he made his debut, made those runs against Australia as well in 2018. He was looked at as the leader of the next pack, wasn't he? The next gen after De Villiers and Amla and du Plessis. And then his Test career had just floated.
Here's Lyon, goes back into his crease, punches off the back foot, gets it square of the wicket, but doesn't crucially get a run with 2 balls left in the over.
And to play an innings like this in a run chase, in a World Test Championship final, and what it means to South Africa, I wonder what lies ahead for him. Not a lot of Test cricket, that we know.
No. Well, I wonder what will happen actually after this as Lyon is in. This is gets But it bounces, and it's parried by Carey, and it's thrown, and in the parrying, it's gone to Travis Head at short leg. I don't think it's touched anybody other than Carey. But Marnus is convinced that, that must have touched something. Surely it's out. We'll get to have a look on the Chemist Warehouse replay screen. No, it's touched absolutely nothing. It's very good work from Carey. He's basically saved 4 runs. Very good keeping away to his left. Last ball of the over. And flipped away into the onside. Goes to short mid-wicket. End of the over. A new ball is now available. Last throw of the dice is about to happen. At the end of the over, South Africa need 14 more. 4 for 268.
Now, help yourself to helpful healthcare and huge savings at Chemist Warehouse. Stock up on GastroStop Plus. 20 chewable tabs, just $8.99. Try Nexium 24-hour, 20 milligram, 14 tablets for $10.99. Pick up Wagner Professional Immunity Force, 60 vegetarian capsules, now $28.99. And LifeSpace Probiotic for 60 plus years, only $35.99. For great savings every day, come home to Chemist Warehouse.
Yeah, Test cricket for Henley Holmes. The new ball has been taken, as Tom Waits might say, and it's being presented to the ground by Chris Gaffney, the umpire. Hazelwood is readying himself. He's tying his shoelaces. He's going to take it from the nursery end. So do we expect to see start from the pavilion end? They've done the swipperoo there.
Unless it's Cummins who's going to take the new ball for a change.
Oh, it could be Cummins from the pavilion end.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't you like start with that brand new ball? They just
when he come round,
squeeze one
back down. So the slope assisted coming back in. If he does left arm round, don't know.
Great theatre here, Australia just slowing the game down, moving people around. There ought to be over 8 penalties in this game, which means that both these sides could start with minus points to start the next World Test Championship cycle. At least that's what Ben Stokes would be saying, as England would dock 22 points over the course of the World Test Championship.
Everybody was entertained, though.
It was their own fault, in fairness. 2 slips in a gully. First ball of the new ball. Hazelwood's in. It's clipped away in the air, just past mid-on. And it's going to run up to the boundary for 4. That's what can happen with the new ball. Markram to 133. And now that target is just 10 runs. Almost single figures. Oh, I say.
That's a body blow. That sounded like a statement more than a shot from Aidan Markram. What a shot. What an innings. What a player.
It's a nerveless shot, isn't it? I mean, somehow he is managing to control all these emotions. The whole weight of South African cricket history will be bearing down on his shoulders now. But he has not put a foot wrong. 133 not out. The standout player of the match with the bat, certainly, as Hazelwood is into him again. He goes again. He clips it into the onside. It's running up towards the boundary. It's not going to get there. It's being pursued, but they should get back for 3. 7 more needed to win. It's single figures. They're nearly there now, South Africa.
This new ball, it's not helping. 4 and a 3. I think he wants to finish at this over.
Yeah. Just a vision of Graham Smith on camera, on television. I asked him a while back when he's going to finally break into a smile. He said, only when the winning runs are scored.
Well, they can't mess it up from here. I'm not jinxing them now. It's not possible. They need 7 to win. They've got 6 wickets in hand. Bedingham on strike. And Bedingham, flashes of this and misses it. Look at the keeper.
Why not have a swing, though? Yeah, they're home now.
They really are.
But Markram deserves to hit the winning runs. Yep. This has been truly one of the great Test hundreds. And hopefully sparks I'm not sure. They don't have a home test, do they? Well, their home fans don't get to celebrate with their test championship.
Flem, somebody might offer to go and play them. They are the world champions, you know. Surely. I mean, it's an absolute outrage that they haven't got any home test.
No.
Hopefully that'll change. Kevin Peterson's standing up. We know where his loyalties lies. Hazelwood is in. Full ball driven up to mid-off.
Well, I don't.
There's no run.
I don't. Where?
I think they lie with South Africa.
Because Smithy was by himself then, and then next week you look, KP's in the shot. AB de Villiers is on camera as well, sending some texts.
Yeah.
He'll get a lot out of this. A very team-orientated player, brilliant player, AB de Villiers.
Yeah.
And never had this feeling, did he? No. One of the greatest players of all time, and never won a big tournament.
Time they soaked it up, because these are the moments you dream of as Hazelwood is in. And Bedingham defends into the offside, takes a single. That means they're within one blow, one meaty blow, just 6 more to win to take you through to this historic moment. Redemption for South Africa. It's going to be Adam Collins.
I think nerves have turned into nervous excitement all around Lords.
Very special. 6 away. Markram has been the mainstay. He's 136. Last ball of Hazelwood's over here. He pulls out. He's halfway through the run, and I'll go back and try again. Mexican wave beneath us as well. South African fans embracing this moment, as they should. Last ball of the over. Hazelwood to Markram. He plays through the onside, and it's cut off at square leg by Travis Head. It was aerial too. Well, it's reached him. He's gone.
I think he's out.
It's reached him. It got there on the full. My apologies. Markram is dismissed for 136. It was like delayed reaction there. As Markram and the Australians realised as one, he's not going to be there at the end. He will, however, receive an ovation that will be befitting of one of the truly great Test match innings. He won't be there at the end, but he is the man who's made this possible. In pursuit of 286, 136 of them. It has been a masterful performance. A moment that will go down as one of the finest in South African history as far as this sport is concerned. And it's been made possible due to Aiden Markram.
Yeah, you said it right. Isn't it one of the great Test knocks? Just leadership and coming off a duck as well. So he's on a pair, and you wouldn't have known it when the second inning started. Poised, class, knows his game so well. Never looked rushed, never looked stressed, never looked nervous. So him and Bavuma, their batting in the second innings has entranced this World Test win for South Africa. It's a bit sad he wasn't there to hit the winning runs.
Yeah, sport is no fairy tale, but yeah, for once we all wished, whether you were Australian, neutral or South African, that he was not only there in the middle, but he was hitting the winning runs like Ross Taylor and Kane Williamson were all those years ago when New Zealand won the World Test Championship final. But he's controlled this run chase.
So he goes back up the stairs. Now he enters the South African dressing room, and they go from the balcony out into the viewing room. This is a lovely moment. It's been well captured by television as well. That walk through the long room, the way the members received him. Temba Bavuma, the man he added 147 with, elated for the position he's put them in. Kyle Verreynne is the new man to the crease at number 7. He won't be on strike. It was the final ball of the over. So David Bedingham on 19. 6 runs to go. Mitchell Starc will have another crack from the pavilion in Fleming.
Time for a hat-trick here, Mitchell Starc. Let's just give another couple of blows. But the new ball was expensive in the first over, wasn't it? Markram just trying to find another bounce. He hit it really well. The only thing, he just gave it a bit of elevation. It flew to Travis Head.
So as we reset here, there are still some anxious-looking faces on that South African balcony. 6 to win.
Well, Jansen does not want to go out.
No,
let's be honest.
I don't think any of them want to go anywhere near the field of play right now unless it's to celebrate. So 2 slips to the gully, 6-3 field. Starc, pavilion end. Got the new ball. Bowls here, and Bedingham drives hard and well to Whitish mid-off. No run there. Nathan Lyon does the fielding.
I was reading before this test about David Bedingham, his journey. All he ever wanted to do was play Test cricket, even if for a brief period, if it meant playing it for England. He stuck to his guns, and here he is, about to be part of history for South Africa. What a long wait this has been since readmission.
There must be 12 people on that South African balcony. They're all waiting. Bedingham facing Stark here, goes back and plays to mid-wicket. Quick single and through. It was Cummins going for the sliding pick-up and throw. It would have needed to have been absolutely perfect to have played into real pressure, but 5 to win. The strike goes to Verena, Bedingham 20.
Gee, he was very deep, wasn't he, Pat Cummins? He was in the middle of nowhere there.
Had he managed to flick it as he got to the turf, it might have put Bedingham in a bit of strife, but no, not to be. South African coach Conrad Shukri on the balcony as well there, Baz. He's spoken so much about what he wants Proteas cricket to be. He wants this team to be committed to country first, and boy, have they been this week. Verena's first ball. Stark being clapped in over the wicket bowls here. Verena plays out to mid-on, off the front foot. No single to Cummins this time.
Yeah, charging in Mitchell Stark. He's sniffing another victory, another wicket here. But I think they'll reflect that this is going to hurt the Australian team. They would have been so confident coming here, but when you have batting collapses 5 for 20 in the first innings and 6 for 28, you're behind. They've underachieved with the bat, and they've also not found anything about their top 3 going forward, really.
Some singing in the mound stand, but for the most part, silence. Waiting, watching, Stark. Up to Verena here, yet to score, and plays and misses. A ball that goes past his inside edge, well wide of the off stump.
You're right, it almost feels like we're at Wimbledon and someone's serving for the championship every time Mitchell Stark runs into ball. That's the kind of vibe here in Lords. Yeah, but just the question marks around South Africa. Who did you beat? How did you get here? That's been the narrative for so many months, ever since they qualified for the final.
Graham Smith on screen now receives an ovation from the crowd, puts his hand up in the air and acknowledges it as well. What a great leader he was. Massive presence in South African cricket. AB de Villiers in the stands as well. Loving this moment. Stark to Verena, who plays and misses again. Some residual nerves here, Flem, you sense.
Yeah, Bethune still not over the line. The poor captain is got his hands in his head. He's not going to celebrate until they get over the line.
You wouldn't think they need only 5 runs for victory, right? Looking at that balcony.
Yeah, you think it's 25, wouldn't you, with the body language? There's still some work to do, but the back broken just before the second new ball was due. Bedingham and Markram went through the gears one last time to get it to inside 20. Now left with 5. Last ball here. Stark delivers. Verena drives through the offside out the deep point where Constance does the fielding in front of the grandstand. Verena keeps the strike. 4 runs to win. South Africa 5 for 278.
Mate, if I say the word laser, what do you think of? Laser tag? Pew pew. No, you clown. Laser cutting. Close. Laser welding? Correct.
Roofing and Sheet Metal Centre can laser weld stainless steel in gauges down to 1.2 mil. Stainless steel roofing and rainwater products have a longer lifespan, are more resistant to corrosion, plus they look great. And with a lighter gauge stainless steel, you can get these benefits for less. Visit rscentre.com.au/stainless steel.
A boundary to win for South Africa. They're 5 for 278. It's been slow going this morning. They've lost 3 wickets, but they're on the cusp. Josh Hazlewood to continue from the nursery end, and Cole Verena the chance to finish this with a boundary. So Stark away, make that Hazlewood away from us. Bowls here to Verena. He turns it into the onside. Behind square for a single. So So Vereina's second run. Might be a leg by. Wait for the signal here. That goes as runs. So Vereina's got a couple. 5 for 279. We said so many times, Flem, that target of 282. They ticked off every marker along the way, the crowd. 50, 100, within 50, within 100, within 150, and now within 3.
As you said, one shot, and they're there.
We started playing cricket.
And Benningham's had a good test match. He's 40 odd in the first innings was very important.
So Josh Hazelwood away from us at the nursery and 3 to win. Into Bettingham, bowls here, and Bettingham plays late under his eyes. There'll be 1 here, past Cameron Green's right hand. He'll consider a second. It's sent back. 5 for 280. 2 to go. Back to Vereina. Will be a moment that'll be replayed forever.
Good time as well in South Africa. Everybody will be up. That have been up all night. Speaking to South Africans here, fans and journalists, nobody has slept. They went to bed dreaming of Bauma and Aiden Markram and woke up apparently dreaming of Markram and Bauma.
So the 2 slips in the gully remain. Only 1 man back at fine leg with 2 to win. Vereina on strike. Here's Hazelwood. Bowling to him here, and Vereina drives, but doesn't quite beat Pat Cummins. Had he done so, that would have been the winning runs.
The crowd's been phenomenal, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been an outstanding atmosphere throughout.
Heavily favoured to the South Africans, but there's been a good contingent of Australian fans as well. Excellent neutral venue for a World Test Championship final here at Lord's.
Yeah, they've absolutely nailed it here. So it's Josh Hazelwood to Vereina. 2 runs to win for South Africa. Bowls here, and he drives straight back at him, and Hazelwood cuts it off in his follow through. See Sean Pollock on TV commentary next door as well, Flem. Had your battles with him over the years, former captain. There's always great servants to South African cricket who never had a moment like this.
Yeah, great man, Sean Pollock. Always a bit of fun. Excellent cricketer, but another one starved of his success. It's just that little asterisk against their name.
So many generations. Sean Pollock had his own moment. DRS in the 2003 World Cup.
Yeah. Just another one, wasn't it? Compounding that theory that South Africa just couldn't get it done at major tournaments.
Kyle Vereina, South Africa's number 7. 2 to win. Hazelwood bowls to him, and he plays defensively under his eyes out to mid-off. So 1 left in the over.
They're not making it easy, the Aussies.
No, fighting to the end.
No half volleys, no wide balls outside off stump.
As you'd expect, Flem, they've been a terrific bowling group, but just not been able to find a way in the 4th innings here as the pitch went to bed.
Yeah. No, we'll be reflecting on it. They'll reflect more on it. The collapse is horrible. Horrible.
So Hazelwood, final ball with this over. 2 to win. Bowls here to Vereina, goes back and carves through the offside, gets 1, cut off by Labuschagne. He keeps the strike, scores a level. Ends the over, 5 for 281. It means that Vereina will get the chance to win the test match in the next over. South Africa, for what it is worth, they cannot lose. And indeed, by dint of that, they will be world champions one way or the other, improbable as it is.
It's done, that's it.
As the tie, of course, in that ridiculously unlikely scenario does mean a shared trophy. So South Africa have reached where they needed to be. 1 run to win.
In a way, whether you want to compare it to a boxing bout or a wrestling bout, it's only fair that they get to beat the defending champions and grab the mace from them. Australia have proudly held up that mace for 24 months, which they won right here in London, just down the road, which is just about handed over to South Africa.
That South African balcony is packed. All eyes on Kyle Vereina. 1 run to win. Stark from the pavilion bowls here, and Vereina goes back and plays to cover, and Labuschagne's still scampering around there at cover. He's given him nothing, as you'd expect from the Queensland captain.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, Marnus. I mean, he must be so disappointed with not going on to get a big score in this Test match, whether he plays the next Test match in the West Indies. But you wouldn't have known in the field. He's encouraged. He's cut off potential boundaries, cut off singles. Been excellent.
A.B. de Villiers there with his family, giving his son a cuddle. Great moments. Bavuma still got his hand over his mouth. He won't believe it till it's happened. You can understand why. That weight of expectation. Can it be lifted here? Stack over the wicket. Once a win. Verena gives the stumps away. Tries to play a ramp of sorts. Ends up with Carey. Appeal for caught behind. They've got no reviews. It's given not out by umpire Gaffney. That would have been a perfectly modern way to have won the trophy. Jumping across the stumps and trying to flick it over Fine League's head.
It would. And it'd make a great highlights package. Do it again. Go for it again.
Yeah. Why not?
Gosh. I wonder if they'll replay that one for us. I mean, Carey's very confident. I think South African fans are doing the DRS signal.
Seeing Ultra Edge here, and he did hit it. He did hit it. It's hit his glove on the way through, so it's umpire error there from Chris Gaffney.
Yeah, that's cost the Australians World Test final.
Actually, Illingworth at that end, but point remains. It was hit. So Mitchell Stark to Verena, 1 to win. Can it be this ball? Hits him on the body, wants to run through, inside edge as well, full delivery, all happening late. No is the call.
He's making hard work of it. Are they able to read his heart rate at the moment? I'm thinking in excess of 200. He's tried a bit of a ramp. He's tried to run when it's just there. I'd love to see another ramp.
Quite moving scenes of this. The young South African fans all with their parents.
Today, beautiful sunny day.
A generation to generation story. Temba Bavuma on the balcony, watching Mitchell Stark beneath him, towards us, towards Verena. 1 to win. Stark bowls and Verena fillets it through the offside. Out towards the point rope. He'll finish it with a boundary. South Africa, at long last, are world champions. They have secured that precious trophy for the first time. They had to do it the hard way. 74 runs behind on the first innings. Set 282 for victory. They get the job done by 5 wickets. They have seized the moment. The weight of history leaves their shoulders thanks to a truly masterful, defining century from Aidan Markram, batting for so long with his skipper Temba Bavuma, who will a few moments from now hold that mace aloft. This is one for the true believers of South African cricket. So much heartbreak, so much turmoil. Well, today, they are the champions. Damien Fleming.
Yeah, and well deserved, isn't it? There were times when they were behind the 8 ball at the end of day 1. Their intent with their batting, you just felt like they're going to be 100 runs behind and have to bowl so well. And then with the ball in the second innings, you felt early on, Australia number 28, it's going to be an easy back-to-back World Test Championship for the Aussies, but Rabada again inspired it. And then with the bat, in the end, they've done it comfortably. 5 wickets is an emphatic win for South Africa. And just the scenes out there, Graham Smith, a wonderful captain, great batsman for South African cricket. It never had the chance, had he, to win a world title. And for the Australians, they'll feel like they've let one go there. I think they were deservedly the favourites, and at times they were in such a dominant position. And particularly with their batting, collapses 5 for 20, 6 for 28 in the second innings. Is just not good enough, and you're not going to win a big game like that with those collapses.
Bharat, we'll get your thoughts before going downstairs to interview Pat Cummins.
Yeah, and for South Africa to do this, to finally bring this generational trauma to an end against Australia, who so often have been the bogey team for them, so often broken their hearts, would mean so much. And coming into this game, they needed the leaders in the side, the champion players in the South African team to put their hand up. Kagiso Rabada with the spell on day one, then once again with the spell on day two. Aiden Markram to play the innings he did, and then Temba Bauma on one leg, the captain. He's had such a interesting story to this point. He spoke a lot about wanting to complete the story, finish the story. He had fantasized about this moment where South Africa will finally be called world champions. And wasn't he excited on that balcony? Almost jumped off the balcony for a second.
These are precious scenes. Tears in the crowd. The two who were there at the end, David Beddingham, whose story is so unlikely, came to England to have a chance at a professional career, came into the Test side by dint of South Africa, not really knowing where they were as a Test nation last year when sending that side to New Zealand. Well, they have come full circle here at the home of cricket. Those fans in the crowd have been brilliant as we let Bharat go. The Australians are applauded through the long room as well. It was a riveting Test match, Flem. The shifts in momentum the whole way through, the twists, the turns, everything that we didn't expect happened immediately after we expected one thing to go one way. It was that kind of week, wasn't it, here at Lord's across 4 days? And, well, in the beaming sun on a Saturday afternoon, this is the moment that South African fans have been waiting for since readmission, to be able to say that they are world champions. The leadership of Temba Bavuma, the contribution of Aiden Markram, the purposeful way they went about chasing 282 as well, Flem. We spoke in the first innings about a lack of rigour to the way they were going about their work with the bat. Knocked over for 138, losing 5 for 12 at one stage. Well, second time around, they showed they are made of tough stuff.
Certainly so, and let's hope it does inspire more Test match cricket for South Africa. We'd love them to be able to go home over the summer, at least play one Test match, so their fans get to cheer their heroes, and just real resilience, to keep believing that they could win this Test match. I mean, even with 282 just seemed too far away, but what we didn't know, the pitch had got flatter, it got slower, and Markram's innings, 136, is one of the great Test knocks, and he looked, starting on a pair, he looked poised, he looked confident, he scored, he put it back on the Australian bowlers who, as we kept saying yesterday, not one Australian fast bowler could bowl a maiden. So there was brilliant batting from Bavuma, good leadership. He was on one leg, and you felt like they didn't leave any runs out there. He found a way to get quick singles, to get back for the twos. But that partnership will go down in folklore for South African cricket. Their captain Bavuma, Markram, who I hope can play more Test match cricket. He looks a player that should be averaging 45. He likes the Australians. 3 of his top 4 scores are against the Aussies, against a quality attack. So South Africa can also say that they have beat a very good Australian team as well.
Takes a bit to beat these Australians in a final, the way in which they held their nerve in India a couple of years ago in the One Day World Cup, coming back from a long way behind in the tournament, winning the World Test Championship in tough conditions against India a couple of years ago, an excellent Indian team, coming here and getting the better of South Africa in the biggest moments across the first couple of days before that comeback began, and that collapse of 7 for 45 in the second innings proves decisive.
It is, and just really enjoyed the experience being at Lord's again, Colo.
Isn't it great?
It is a beautiful venue, full stop, but for a neutral Test to have virtual packed out crowds every day, and love to feel predominantly with South Africans, but a heap of Aussies here as well. So good on everyone that's travelled over to watch this. If anything, I didn't love the pitch. I'd like to see a little bit more pace in this wicket going forward. But as a venue, this is just A grade and perfect for a World Test final for neutral teams. I mean, they'll be hoping they get England in a World Test final, but it doesn't matter on the last 3 days or 4 days.
It'll shut down a debate on that instantaneously. This is the right place to hold the World Test Championship final. It shouldn't go to but it should stay at Lord's. This has been, as you say, the perfect coming together of both fan groups and the neutrals and all the rest. We're going to get Jeremy Coney back in a sec, but Andrew Sampson, our resident South African in our team this week. I know you said before play today that having covered this team since readmission, having been around the world with them in different ways, that this would be one of the most emotional days of your life.
Absolutely. Probably the greatest moment of my life. It's not about me, obviously. I think up until today, the greatest moment of my life was at 3:58 a.m. in the morning in South Africa on the 6th of January 1994. McGrath caught and bowled de Villiers. South Africa win by 5 runs, defending 117, but it's probably better,
That we've spoken so much about how it is for South African cricket and generational trauma. We were joking earlier about the piece that Dan Gallen wrote overnight, describing it in that way. Seeing those young kids with their parents, it's extremely moving. Parents in tears with their kids. Seeing one here on our shot right now, there are people all over this ground who have had to stay the course. And when it comes to Test cricket, there would have been a time there when they might have thought they may not even be a Test nation in 5 or 10 years' time, owing to the direction of travel with franchise cricket and South Africa's wider challenges. But here they are on this stage doing this. Try and sum up the emotion of all of this.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Test cricket in the future, it's obviously has been a major concern. South Africa only had 28 Test matches in the 4-year FTP that we're in the middle of now. And people were wondering, as you say, whether there will be much after that. 2 Test series all the time. Not playing enough against the bigger teams, Australia and England. And and obviously all the years of hurt, especially in the one-day competitions and things. There wasn't a World Test Championship before. I mean, it's not like I grew up wanting to watch South Africa win the World Test Championship at Lord's one day. It was unthinkable. I mean, when I was a youngster, there wasn't Test cricket in South Africa at all because of apartheid. So this is just an enormous moment for the country, for Test cricket. I don't know how much it will influence the future, but as you say, the kids in the crowds here watching, I think that's probably the bigger thing. If there's 8-year-old, 10-year-olds at home not that interested in cricket yet, who watch this now, it could be very inspiring. Let's get the words right. And that might then force the authorities to push for more Test cricket in South Africa and keep the game going there.
Thank you, Andrew. We'll get Jeremy Coney in to share his thoughts as well. Summed up very nicely there about the potential for this to inspire a generation of young South Africans and indeed to help turbocharge Test cricket in that country. There's always been these parallel storylines running through this series, or through this match rather, and the build-up to the final about the health of South African Test cricket. And no one's saying for a moment, you put it well earlier, Flem, about saying this won't change everything, but it might make some difference in that story. And let's hope that it does, because a strong South Africa equals strong Test cricket. Through your generation, when you played, when South Africa were brilliant, it meant for a better global game.
Yeah, I mean, since coming back in, they've had better teams than this. But, the leadership of Burma, and I said that the strength of this team is the team unity. And we saw this. All at sea at day one. I don't know what the odds would have been for them to go on to win that test. They only made 138 in the first innings. And Australia were numbed for 28. But it was a group effort, but I thought Rabada was inspiring for his team and rock and rolled the Australians twice. And then even 282 seemed too far away with the scores on the first 2 days, so it needed someone. We were talking, 2 partnerships, someone to make 100, and what 100 we saw from Aiden Markram. 136, so controlled, poised, power when he needed to, and the leadership of Bavuma, injured, but hung in there with his partner, and that partnership, in theory, that's what won the game. I mean, Australia come here, they're proud, they've got a great bowling lineup. We could do this, but everything had to fall in place for Australia to win today.
Jeremy Coney rejoins us. Maybe we should start where Fleming finished there about the Markram innings. Feels an instant classic.
Oh, definitely. What a fine innings it was, and a lot of pressure, chasing 282. If this pitch hadn't changed into this straw-coloured thing that we've been looking at in the last day and a bit, and the sun hadn't come out, this could well have been a different result, actually. Just shows you that the game, the conditions of the game's presiding geniuses, but also, to have Markram there with the capability of actually putting that into a practice. Fabulous innings. You won't forget that in a long time. And the culmination of I like this final because it's a culmination of 2 years' work. 6 series both these teams have played, varying, numbers of games, and we all know about some of the faults of the championship. But, to look around this crowd, as you say, it's Father's Day tomorrow, but it's actually Father's Day today. When you actually look and see, as you mentioned, you're quite right, fathers and sons, fathers and grandfathers.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to see, it's great. Sport can do that. And you only get these moments once in a while.
Is it too late for the South African president to call it Father's Day? with all that. And one other point, just on the back of what you said, Jeremy, I love the brutality of a one-off final. Sometimes at the BBO it should be over 3, blah, blah, blah. But, Australia were the favourites coming into here, but you've got to perform, and you've got to perform every day. You've got to perform every session, every hour, every ball. And we know this Australian team pride themselves on, they can lose a session, but don't lose a test-defining session. And they lost 2 emphatically to South Africa.
They did with the bat, didn't they? And that's where you mentioned Rabada and the way that his performance in the game also must be mentioned at the same time with Markram, I think.
Yeah.
That they were reliant upon those 2 players particularly. I mean, in Gidi, the way that he came back after a poor first innings and picked up 3 important wickets in that second innings as well. So they've produced a number of players that had little significant moments. Even Bedingham getting a 40-odd in that first innings, and then a 20-odd not out, quite an important 20-odd not out here. So at Bavuma, the way that he's played as well has been outstanding.
See how this might work here in terms of us taking the presentation. The man of the match is unmistakably, emphatically Aiden Markram. He's been handed his trophy. See if we can get this taken from Australia in a moment. We're just working on that back here in Melbourne. We're not getting it sent down our effects line. The interview's happening on the ground right now.
Can you lip read?
I've got
if we had someone that could work.
Yeah. So it'll just be a moment before it animates in Australia, and then here we go.
Aiden Markram is our player of the match. Khalid Samal gives him the award, please. Aiden, you've scored more runs in a test innings for South Africa. Have you ever scored more important runs than that? Surely not.
No, not at all, Nash. Weird how things work out. If you get a duck in the first innings and you come into the second innings, quite a few concerns. Ultimately, you need a bit of luck here and there, and spend some time in the middle and find some runs, and just really grateful it worked out nicely.
I know you'd have wanted to be there at the end, but that reception you walked off to, that will stick with you forever from this Lord's crowd.
It will, yes. Lord's is the place every Test cricketer wants to play. To play in a final here is incredibly special, and then with all the members here, but also plenty of South African fans that made the trip, and plenty at home as well that have supported us through it. Was one of the most special days.
Talk us through the tempo of that innings. It looked like in the first innings as a team you went in your shell to start with, but you were completely different after that, and you personally.
Yeah, it was the case. It's always one side of the sword, I guess. You either absorb and bank on yourself scoring later, but I think when you look at the wicket, the quality of bowling, you've probably only got X amount of balls out there to face, and it's about maximising scoring out of those balls. So it's what we committed to as a team. Everyone came in with that intent, and it certainly helped in the second innings.
And the challenge of playing Nathan Lyon, I mean, it was only a day 3, day 4 pitch, but you've played him well over the years.
No, he's one of the best in the world. Had plenty bits of banter with him on the field, and I just kept saying to him he's one of the best in the world, and if this thing keeps spinning and went to day 4, day 5, it would have been an absolute handful. So always great to play against some of the best in the world, and not just only him but plenty of the players on that side, and obviously really chuffed for our boys to have got over the line, of course.
And when your skipper Temba pulled that hammy, I think it was you that was instrumental in asking him to stay out there. Why were you so keen for him to stay with you?
To be very honest, a lot of it came from him. He's always led from the front for us. He's been incredible for us, specifically in this campaign, this last 2-3 years. He obviously hurt it, but he didn't want to walk off the field. He was never going to give up, and found a way to score runs, really important runs, and build an important partnership for us to get close. And those sort of knocks are something that I think a lot of people end up remembering.
Well, you arrived at the crease on a pair. You left a national hero. Well played.
Thank you, Ness. Thank you.
Indeed he is. He is a national hero.
So back here live at Lord's, hearing there from Aidan Markram, who was the man of the match for his 136. A truly stellar performance. He talked there, Flynn, about Temba Bavuma insisting really on continuing on and not retiring hurt when he did his hammy yesterday. It could have been an imposition to them. It could have been, something that stunted their momentum they built up before tea, but in a way it kind of galvanised them after tea yesterday, didn't it? That everything that Bavuma did, there was so much attention on it, and he never shirked anything.
No, and he did such a great job in the first innings too, didn't he? With Bellingham there, and putting on an important partnership and scoring at the earlier day too. If you weren't watching the way their communication, how hard, and I think Bavuma sensed once again as captain, this was a big partnership, because once you drop under him, there's a lot of good hitters in his team, but not deep-seated confidence at test level. No one's averaging over 40. So yeah, that partnership's going to go down in folklore, and Bavuma will, for his batting in both innings, but also being injured throughout that partnership, you don't remember him not getting a run or getting a single, do they? Like, he just found a way that I know how hard I can test this hamstring, and I'll get down the other end.
Some cricketers, Jeremy, are known as captains. They're primarily known by what they do with the bat. Others kind of have the aura around them of their leadership. Thinking of someone like Mike Brearley. I mean, arguably, maybe even indeed you fall into that category, having led such successful New Zealand teams. Bavuma in that tradition. No one's saying Bavuma's a superstar batter. No one's suggesting that he's the complete package in that middle order, but as a leader and what he represents to the South African team, he's something special.
Yeah, it's an interesting quality, isn't it, that he has, drawing a group together. I mean, South Africa, it's a magical moment for them today, isn't it? They've had some great series wins in the past, a lot of them against Australia, actually. Yep. The last 5 series, they've actually won 3-2, South Africa. But this is something special, to do it in an ICC in a one-off, when everybody had really... Australia were red-hot favourites for this game. But they've turned it around, and that innings in the first innings, getting a 30 with it was Bellingham, wasn't it? Yeah. And then a partnership in the second innings. So he's played a very important role right in the middle of chasing these runs. In some ways, it's interesting. Sometimes a little injury like that can help you batting. I thought he played really, much more compactly in the second innings than he did in the first. He was looking to play quite expansively in the first innings, but in the second one it was more punchy, I thought, and so just a lovely innings, and a big innings and an important innings. So well done to them, and I'm sure just even watching him on the balcony, he has a presence. There's no doubt about that.
I love him. Just watching the ground staff just mow the pitch a bit, but there's so much dust.
I know. I see it
coming off that, and it's grass all around it.
Also credit to Shukri Conrad, who's only recently taken over all the South African teams for the what's felt like the standard he is insisting that they keep as South African cricketers. He wants the days of them picking and choosing when they're an international cricketer versus a franchise player to end. If you're nationally contracted, and it has come with bumps along the way in which only a couple of weeks ago Heinrich Klaassen retired from all international cricket. So it's not a perfect science, far from it, but as far as setting an example and saying that, no, if you want to play for this team, this will be your main priority. That's the sort of thing, along with Bavuma's leadership on field, that can change the direction of travel for a side that had been middling over the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, all those lower sides, in terms of receiving amounts of money and so on, and not having quite the resources that some other sides do have, it's very difficult for those sides when they go through a contract period every year or every 2 years, whatever they've decided. And there are, I mean, those are problems that those teams in particular are going to have to confront. New Zealand are having to go through it as well.
Yep.
So far, I mean, we've been able to retain, even though they're on casual contracts, those players like Williamson and all those kinds of players, and even the white ball players like Seifert and like Finn Allen and those players as well. They are still at the moment wanting to come back and represent their country. So that's all it is. It's not more money. It's deciding that's more important to me, and it means something to me. You know, in South Africa have had great rugby sides, haven't they? Now they've added a cricket side to it as well. You know, so I think those things are very important, and part of that leadership that you've been talking about is comprised around drawing those players back. I'm sure it is.
So we're not far away from the formal presentation beginning over in front of the Warner stand there, which these days is where they do these things at Lord's. Gone are the days of using the pavilion. A more modern stand, the Warner stand, it went up in 2017. But yes, the presentation panel includes Richard Thompson, who's the chairman of the ECB, and Jay Shah, who's the chairman of the ICC, and they'll get the chance to recognise the South African captain and the team on stage in just a few moments from now on that enormous dais they've got set up there to the right of us. So just waiting for that to kick in a moment on television. Does so now.
2025 here at Lord's. What a great occasion it's been, and a fantastic advert for the game. Congratulations to both teams on reaching this brilliant final. On behalf of the International Cricket Council, a special thank you to the fans who've been with us over the last 4 days, creating a great atmosphere here in the ground. And we'd also like to thank our hosts, the England and Wales Cricket Board, MCC, our broadcast and commercial partners, the ground staff, match officials, and of course the players and staff of both sides. Let's introduce you to our presentation party. ICC Chairman, Mr. Jay Shah, ECB Chair and ICC Director Richard Thompson, and CSA Vice President and ICC Director Dr. Mohammed Musaji. And to conduct our interviews, Nasser Hussain. Now, please welcome Stuart Broad and the ICC World Test Championship mace. First presentation is to our match officials, who we asked to come forward to collect their medals. From ICC Chairman Mr. Jay Shah, please welcome match referee Javagal Srinath. On-field umpires Richard Illingworth and Chris Gaffney. Our third umpire Richard Kettleborough. And fourth umpire Nitin Menon. We come to our runners-up and now invite the side to the stage to collect their runners-up medals from ECB Chair Richard Thompson. Please, your appreciation for Alex Carey, Brendan Doggett, Cameron Green, Josh Hazelwood, Travis Head, Usman Khawaja, Marnus Labuschagne, Nathan Lyon, Steve Smith, Mitchell Stark, Bo Webster, Scott Boland, Josh Inglis, Sam Constas, Matt Kuhneman, and finally to receive his medal and then for a few words, Captain Pat Cummins.
Thanks for joining us. As with every Australian team, and your Australian team in particular, you kept going right till the end there, didn't you?
Yeah, things can change pretty quickly, but yeah, unfortunately, it's a bridge too far.
Where do you think that game was drifting away from you? What did you think you didn't do quite right earlier in the game?
I think there's always a few things. Having a pretty decent first innings lead, I think that's where you kind of want to bat the opposition out of the game. Didn't quite do that. Maybe we've had another session as well. The conditions kind of help us a little bit more, but they were fantastic that fourth innings. Wasn't a lot in the wicket, but they didn't really give us a chance.
Was it the conditions? You were reduced to 70 for 7 in that second innings. Was it the conditions, or are there concerns over that top 7?
Oh, I think a bit of both. Again, it's been a wonderful 2 years. The guys have performed really well to get us here. Didn't come together this game. No doubt for the first 2 games, the bowls were fantastic and always looked like the ball was darting around. So maybe a little bit of both.
Double-edged sword. When you saw Hazelwood and Stark batting the way they were, you must have realised it was going to be harder second time round.
Yeah, that's right. You're always kind of clapping each run, but knowing, it's looking like the wicket was starting to flatten out. But again, it can change quickly over here in England, but unfortunately didn't really do that for us.
Could you have done anything different in that run chase, or were they just too good?
I think we gave just about everything a chance. I thought Lino bowled particularly well. He looked threatening, just didn't quite get a wicket. But Aiden was fantastic, and Temba, that partnership didn't really give us a chance.
A word on South Africa. They kept coming at you. They didn't let up at all.
Yeah, that's right. They showed why, they're in this final and, deserved champions. They, all facets really, in all 4 days, they just kept themselves in the game. When they got a sniff, they took a few wickets and they were fantastic. So congratulations to Temba, the staff and all the players.
A word on this format and this sort of final. You've been on both sides of it, winning at the Oval, losing here at Lord's. How much do you enjoy it? And should we continue with this format?
Preferred at the Oval last time. No, I think it's fantastic. It's it's the pinnacle. I love Test cricket. It's something you build towards for 2 years. So it's a huge achievement to make the final. And then a one-game shootout. I think it's a fantastic kind of spectacle. The crowd's been amazing. So unfortunately, didn't go out our way this week, but it's a great week.
And it all starts again in the Caribbean soon. Safe travels. Well done in the 2 years again.
Thanks. Cheers, Nas.
And now, can I invite the winners, South Africa, to come up to the stage to receive their medals from ICC Director Dr. Mohammed Musaji, starting with David Bedingham. Aidan Markram. Keshav Maharaj. Vian Mulder. Marco Janssen. Lungi Ngidi. Kahiso Rabada. Ryan Rickleton. Kyle Miguel Verena, Tristan Stubbs, Corbin Bosch, Senaran Mutasami, Dane Patterson, Tony Dezozzi, and finally, Captain Temba Bavuma.
The biggest cheer of the day when your name was called up there. An unbelievable atmosphere, an unbelievable week. Sum up your emotions if you can.
Yeah, I think it's been a special couple of days. At some point it felt like we were back in South Africa with all the support in the stands. We've prepared hard for this. We've worked hard for this moment, and we came here with a lot of belief. I think also with a lot of doubters, and we're happy that we were able to play well enough to get that type of result. Special moment for us as a team, special moment for the people back home. Probably will really sink in a couple of days, but yeah, it's been special.
It's been well documented, the 27 years of heartache in ICC senior events. Have you felt that as a team? You could sense it around the crowd. They were willing you over the line today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the energy was there. I think obviously us as a team, we've been wanting this. We've been kind of knocking at that door, being relentless, getting ourselves into positions where we can be in finals. We've gone through the heartache, we've gone through the disappointment, seen it with past players who've come before us, and the sun is on us at the moment, and that responsibility we've been carrying it, and hopefully this is one of many.
You're unbeaten as captain. You are unbeaten as captain personally, but also in that team you have some serious players. Let's pick out two. One with the ball, KG Rabada. Before the game you said he would deliver. He certainly did again.
Yeah, KG is a massive player. A couple of days ago I went to the ICC Hall of Fame inductees. I think, in a couple of years, KG will be one of those guys. Look, he came into the game, there was controversy behind him. He was motivated to do what he needed to do, and like a champion, he came and did what he did.
And Ada Markram, that run chase, coming in on a pair, in pressure, in a final at Lords. How good was he?
Unbelievable. I think, a couple of months ago, people were asking why Aiden is within the team. I think stats, yes, are important, but character is something that we look at. And a guy like Aiden, he carries all those traits. We knew second innings we were going to have to come out and play, and he led it like in true Aiden fashion. So, again, another massive player for us. Character has been a big thing for us as a team, and those two guys are the ones who carry that.
Do you feel the significance of this moment and this win for South Africa, not only as a nation, but as a cricket team where Test cricket is under pressure? Weeks like this are important.
Yeah, definitely. I think, us as a team, we got ourselves into the final. There were doubters as to the route that we took, supposedly playing wicket teams. We're happy that we were able to perform like this, and hopefully that kind of squashes that. And I think for us as a country, here's an opportunity for us to, as divided as we are at times, to forget all of that, rejoice in this moment, and just be one. I'm sure the people back home will be celebrating it with us, and you can trust that we'll be celebrating it massively as well.
Temba, you've waited long enough, your team's waited long enough, your nation has waited long enough. Go and get that mace.
Thank you, Nelson.
Raising lifting the mace to the sky. Temba Bavuma receiving it from the ICC chairman, Jay Shah. Holds it up a second time as well. These are pictures that will go around the cricketing world. A model of leadership. The celebrations begin out in the middle of Lords. The Australians, the vanquished, make their way back through those old gates, up the stairs, through the long room, and leave the stage for the victors, who today are the South African Proteas. A monumental performance, hauling down 282. Recency bias and all the rest of it, but surely one of the most consequential and significant test innings ever played by Aidan Markram. Shukri Conrad gets his chance with it as well here, Flam. Said before,
he doesn't know what to do. They've been dancing.
It really is.
What's he coming to do here?
I mean, the dancing in the stands, the dancing on the dais, it's magical.
Yeah, he's now passing on to Markram, the man of the match.
Aidan Markram.
Like Thor.
Oh, how about that?
Could be a superhero movie out of this, and Aidan is definitely destroying the Aussies, and so Rabada. They might be doing it in order of impact on the game. Jeez, Rabada moving beautifully here.
Oh yeah, the dancing on the stage. I mean, this is wonderful. The music playing around. When they sung the national anthem with 5 runs to go, I saw a video of that on social media. The crowd, this whole thing is just hitting all the right notes.
Yeah. Every player just get a little moment with it, I reckon.
I know World Cups are handed out regularly in cricket, Flem. We have a global tournament every year, but there's just something about what's happened in the last 4 days. It's just hitting different entirely. This has been an utter privilege to be here for.
Yeah, I think that devalues the product of the World Cup every year. You take it, but when it takes 2 years, and as I said, I love the brutality of a one-off, and the underdog wins. That's what playing in a final should be, that you've got to bring your best. Obviously, the 50-over World Cup is every 4 years, so I think there's a premium on that to get the opportunity to play in a World Cup winning team. But for South Africa, Bavuma spoke beautifully. He's hoping this does inspire the nation. Inspires probably the administrators to work out Test cricket and to keep the relevance and to have less questions about qualifying for the Test final.
Yeah, that's right. The onus goes on to decision makers at ICC headquarters, but for the time being, that's put to one side as South Africa pose for their photographs behind the champions sign, and they unleash the champagne corks, so often a part of the story here at Lords, with champagne corks on the turf. Well, these will be deserving moments for this team. What we might do here at Lords is we'll take a break as Temba Bavuma holds that mace aloft again. And when we come back from it, Bharat Sundaresan's caught up with Pat Cummins and Aidan Markram as well. One last time with the mace in the air. We'll take a break. SEN Test cricket for Henley home, South Africa. Victorious here at the home of cricket by 5 wickets. There are still so many people here to our left in the mound stand. Beneath us in the edge, reach over to the Compton grandstand as well. So they'll have a chance to soak this in with the mace as it gets passed from player to player. One player who's had a good go with it already is Aidan Markram, player of the match for his 136. A magnificent performance, one of the most consequential innings in Test history. And he's downstairs speaking with Bharat Sundaresan.
Aidan Markram, thank you so much for speaking to SEN Test cricket. What a moment there. Can you just take us through your feelings right now?
Yeah, it's hard to put it into words. That nothing's quite hit just yet. Extreme happiness, extreme relief. But I think the real emotions will probably come out a bit later when it kicks in, but just incredibly proud of this team, and great to be a part of this group of guys.
You've been part of this journey for a while now, Aidan. When you started that run chase, you seem to have this clarity about what you were doing, and it came through right through, like, while the time you're out there.
I'm glad it looked that way. It didn't always feel that way inside. You're human at the end of the day, and you feel every sorts of emotions while you're out there, but had a plan at least, and sort of kept going back to the plan, and that brought me a bit of calmness. And whichever way it went, I would have slept well with that plan in mind. So that's pretty much where I try to put all my focus. As soon as I can find myself getting distracted, scoreboard, bowling changes, how the wicket was playing, I just sort of went back to my plan. And credit to all the management as well for helping us formulate those sorts of plans, and just very fortunate it ended up working out.
You've always spoken about how much Test cricket means to you, to your country, and obviously there's so much history to what happened today. Just for South Africa to be called world champions in cricket, that's got a good ring to it, doesn't it?
It does. It's been a long time coming. Heaps of past players have come before, contributed massively towards this group of players in terms of knowledge, in terms of assistance, helping, coaching, always supporting us. After every game we get receiving messages from them, so they're as much a part of this journey as just this team, and obviously for everyone in South Africa it's been a really long time coming, and hopefully they can be just as happy as we are.
And just finally, what were those last few minutes like? Kyle Verreynne trying a ramp, a reverse ramp and all of that.
It was just his flair. It's typical Kyle Verreynne flair. No, it's amazing what little situations can do to you. Fantastic that he got over the line and got the job done. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a comments sort of section, but it was certainly a bit entertaining in the change room. Having known, if you know Kyle quite well, it's always entertaining, and but incredibly pleased for him and David as pretty much best mates to get us over the line.
And the winning moment itself?
Yeah, special. Obviously sat there in the back of the change room, very, very quiet. Obviously disappointed I hadn't got the team over the line, and then just absolute relief, to be honest.
Beautiful. Go well. Congratulations, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Lovely stuff there. Aidan Markram with Bharat Sundaresan. The very, very slow lap of honour continues swim. They've only made it about 100 metres around, but as is their privilege at this stage. As we turn our attention to the defeated Australians, they were going for back-to-back World Test Championship final winning performances. They were 74 runs ahead on the first innings, and then at one stage in the second dig they were 7 for 73. There were ebbs, there were flows, there were wild fluctuations, and they found themselves in the end well short.
Yeah, firstly, just with the celebrations from the South Africans, a lot of class, very humble, wasn't it? Very, very good from them. And they will do a slow walk because there's South African fans everywhere, isn't there? So good on them. Yeah, I'll be very interested to hear the comments from the Australian end. They're respectful of their opposition like everyone else, but they were fully expected to win this game. West Indies, then into the Ashes series here, but the batting, the collapses, which I keep saying, 5 for 20 and then 6 for 28. They'd none for 28 in the second innings. That you're not thinking they're going to lose 6 cheap wickets, are you? The pitch is behaving better than it did day one. But the problem is, I reckon they've made problems for themselves with the top 3 that they picked. So they've actually gone backwards.
It was always the risk if it didn't work this week. Because they're very open about it being a one-test strategy here, right? It was grand final, was the jargon they used, and if it didn't play out the way they wanted, that it was going to lend itself to a far higher degree of scrutiny than any other loss would because of the stage and the chance to win the trophy again.
Yeah, so, Marnus, maybe reprieved if Stephen Smith isn't available for the West Indies there. Usman Khawaja, he'll get runs in the West Indies. His game is built. We saw it in Sri Lanka.
Totally.
But there's signs last summer and in this test match here, England's couple of fast bowlers, if Archer and Wood and that are fit, but the fast mediums will enjoy Australian conditions better than they did last time. It's doing more, isn't it, in Australia? And then Cameron Green, who I'm a big fan for, but he's at best of 4. But while Smith's there, he has to bat probably 6 because you don't want to move Smith or Head. They're the 2 ones But if he's not bowling, he doesn't play ahead of Bo Webster, does he? So we've got to get back to who are our openers going forward.
It's been the question you've been asking consistently for a really long time, Flem, about specialist openers performing the role. You said it when Steve Smith was shoehorned into the position when David Warner retired. You've been consistent on that, and I feel like your way of seeing the world, that prevailing idea of having specialists for positions rather than picking the best 6 batters.
Which seems to be what they do, isn't it? They take the best 6 or 7 away with them.
Well, there tends to be an adjustment.
Find a spot for them.
Yeah, when a team loses a final, we'll bring Daniel Norcross in here as well, who's rejoined us after watching the presentation. There tends to be an adjustment, doesn't there, when something goes wrong, and now this has happened. I wonder where that might leave them. Daniel, your thoughts on what you've seen, especially, well, initially at least, on the Australian side of things?
Well, I would be wary of jumping to conclusions on the basis of this game for a couple of reasons. That I don't know if pitches are operating like this abroad. Here in England, we had a very repeatable thing happen, which is that the pitch is very difficult to bat on the first day, often for the first 2 days, and you'll be aware of this, Colo, because you've watched a lot of cricket here and you've seen this pattern develop. And it was a brilliant toss for South Africa to win, actually. The surprise was that they put up such a poor showing themselves in their first innings, and then, as you were pointing out, because they were bowled out so quickly, it meant that Australia then had to bat in conditions that were still a bit awkward. Now, if South Africa put up a slightly better show, I think the chances are that Australia's second innings would have been in more favourable conditions as well.
But Australia shouldn't have lost 5 for 20. Well, they could have almost batted the whole day, and it was tough.
And look, it was very, very strange to see 2 sides, actually, at the very pinnacle of this Test Championship, with both of their batting in really quite an unusually sort of flimsy form. And part of that is because Australia have got the problem that you've already mentioned with openers, in that Khawaja's getting long in the tooth. England had a very similar problem when Strauss retired and Cook had about 13, 14 partners. It used to be a trivia question. You'd have to name them all, and one of them was Moeen Ali, one was Josh Butler, but it was like Hales and Robson and all sorts of people that people would be, close watchers of the game would only be vaguely familiar with, and that became an issue. So what England ended up doing under Bazball, before that they got specialist openers in who lasted a while, Sibley and Burns, but the problem was they was dictating a style of play that wasn't good for the rest of the team. Now, I think for Australia it's slightly different because they've got such good middle order. They know what they're getting with Smith, they're not getting with Head. That's fine. You can definitely go for specialist openers. I don't know who the best would be. I mean, Bancroft's still in the frame. Marcus
Harris, I thought, was unlucky at the start of last year. He is a better Test opener than Nathan McSweeney. And Nathan may become a really good player in the middle order, but as an opener and experienced now in English conditions, Marcus Harris, and then play Constas. That's your 19, 20-year-old. Playing while he's flying, but what we've seen, he does accelerate the scoring, the run rate.
He will give a bit of a punch at the top of the order, and I like. Look, the thing is, we just don't know until he gets a go, do we? Because it's a tiny data set we've got to go on. I think the other big problem Australia has got is in the balance of their side. So in the desire to have an all-rounder, a quickish bowling all-rounder, they had a ready-made one in Cameron Green, but if he's not bowling, then you've got a problem, because Bo Webster, and again, it's why I say don't rush to conclusions, Bo Webster in English conditions has not got the game and the technique for the ball that's going to jag back and be low enough still to be in the stumps. I'm sure in Australia, where often those balls would go over the top of the stumps, it's not so much of a problem, but we've seen here he was a walking wicket. I know he got 72 in the first innings, but he could have been out so many times. And it reminds me a little bit of Peter Hanscom, who struggled in England, not so much in Australia, but in England, his technique, because he went back, his trigger movement took him back, he wasn't getting forward enough. It meant that they were able to bowl fuller at him. They could target the stumps. It brought the stumps into play.
It reminded me,
he got exposed.
Zimbabwe English player Gary Balance.
Exactly.
And
the same thing happened
back to the stumps.
Once people worked out he was doing that,
how's he going to score?
He was out. He's out every time. So the question I have for you, because you'll know better, is when do we think Cameron Green can bowl? Because that's vital.
No, it's next summer. He's not bowling in the West Indies. He's doing some warm-up bowling now. He won't bowl to the Ashes.
So for the Ashes, you can then start to slot things in, can't you? Because you've got 4, 5, 6, 7 sorted. 1, 2, 3 is then the issue over Marnus, and Khawaja will presumably open in the Ashes, so it's
at this stage, yeah.
Khawaja's opening partner. So once you break it down a bit, I think it simplifies itself. The bowling takes care of itself, and actually, if what it comes down to is you've got 2 slots you've got to work out, suddenly it doesn't look so daunting,
but
does
it does lead to Constance playing in the West Indies. Give him 3 tests because he is an opener all through the pathway. You know, he's not.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas we've been. There was an argument last year. Colo wasn't at home. Someone wrote an article. Why be an opener in Shield cricket? Because they're not picking any openers.
Well, that's right.
They're manufacturing.
You're being disproportionately put to the advantage of batting in the lower order or batting in the middle order.
We can manipulate our batting in subcontinent. We've got better players as subcontinent conditions. So Josh Inglis could bat anywhere from 1 to 6.
Right.
In the West Indies, in Sri Lanka, in India.
What about in Australia?
Well, he's not opening in Australia for me.
Well, he hasn't been opening for WA. So it's the other thing about opening, and again, your perspective here, Flem, it can often take openers a long time to reach their best. You're permitted to improve in your early 30s. I mean, look at Chris Rogers as an example of that. Chris Rogers got his extended run in the Australian team when he was 36 years of age, having improved and perfected his game and his speciality as an opening batter. I think there are parallels with Marcus Harris, who has been to England for 6 consecutive summers, and that's all happened since he last played for Australia. So I wonder whether, that there might be a conversation around him that's more advanced than simply he didn't quite look good enough in 19. Okay, if we accept that, he'd probably say the same himself. I interviewed him recently.
And remember, Warner couldn't get a run.
Yeah, exactly. Same series where it was that batch of Duke's balls in 19, which were an absolute nightmare for opening batters on both sides of the
And they had it for a while, Colin. You remember? I mean, England had a series against India in which the first half centuries by openers came in the very last test.
That's right.
And that's on both sides. So they played 4 tests.
So what I have been talking about to lower expectations. We don't need them to average 40. 50.
Well, exactly.
45. This is what people think. Well, what happens if you have 2 that average 35 but build consistent 50, 60 run partnerships?
And take a bit of time out of the game. Take the shine off the new ball. I mean, those are the eternal verities of what you want from an opener, and it comes into sharper focus these days in your engine room. Then does its work at 4, 5, 6.
So Bancroft, Renshaw and Harris's career records aren't far off that, low 30s. And you're right, Colo. They probably haven't reached their peak as batsmen.
Yeah, I just wonder, and I'm reticent to even say it out loud, but I just wonder the way that Khawaja was consistently dismissed against India in the home summer in conditions where the ball was seaming around, because of course Australian pitches, Daniel, since you were last in Australia, the pitches in Australia got far harder to bat on. They are far more seam friendly. The steel reinforced Kookaburra these days helps with that as well.
What is it? It's a surface got more grass on it, or what?
Yes, the drop in technology. Well, Flem knows more than I.
Pitches were too flat, so Kookaburra got challenged to get a ball that was more resilient. So Kookaburra did that, added more lacquer, added rubber around the seam, but at the same time, the pitches got more grass left on them.
So these two things have happened.
Perfect storm.
It's happened in sequence. So I just ponder that the Australian summer where with the moving ball, and remembering that Bumrah is perhaps the greatest fast bowler ever, right? So you have to consider that in all of this. But getting out in identical fashion here, both feet off the ground, both times caught behind the wicket. Everyone wants to see Usman Khawaja. I think anyone that has been following the Australian game and his story for a long time would love to see him retire on his own terms in Sydney. And he'll get the opportunity to do that, but I don't think it's as clear cut as well. Usman's clearly number 1 on the team sheet based on what we're seeing at the moment. Very different in Sri Lanka and the Windies as it will be to Australia in the summer. So, I'm sure he would be as open to that conversation as anyone. He's a very mature guy. He's been around for a very long time. I think we're at the point now, Flem, where we can start to wind up our coverage. But before doing that, perhaps a final word, a final thought from you as we leave this beautiful cricket ground and this wonderful World Test Championship final.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the World Test Championship final. I think it gives a bit more significance to Test match cricket. I'd love it to get more pure in the way that you qualify. I still think South Africa won it, but that was an easy road to actually qualify. So how can they make it even for all nations to qualify there? We've had 3 of them, and 2 of the wins haven't been the big boys, England, India, Australia. So bring it on. Lords, for me, is number 1 for this Test match. Neutral fans packed, as well as the local fans. People will fly over and have a holiday there as well. For Australia, I'd love to see what they come out and do in the West Indies and what their plan is, because we're all uncertain up here. But for South African cricket, what a celebration. I wish they could go home over the summer and at least played 1 Test match for their fans to see their World Test Championship team play at least 1 Test. So going forward, to the administrators, please don't allow that scheduling to happen again.
It'd be a fitting tribute if they had a World Test Championship
just 1
match in Johannesburg or Cape Town. It'd be brilliant. Flem, I've got about a minute before we have to get off here, so thank you so much for your contributions through the week. A brilliant summariser on SEN Test cricket as ever. Jeremy Coney, a privilege to work with you again. We love you.
Tweeting again.
We love you, as we do with you, Daniel. It's always better when you're here.
It's a joy, and thank you to SEN for giving me the opportunity. I always love it.
Bharat Sundaresan, of course, a mainstay of our coverage. Andrew Sampson, great to have him from a South African perspective. Pat Cummins will be with Baz later on after the presser. We'll get that on the SEN social channels. Mitch back in Melbourne will take care of that. Thank you to Mitch Scott, our head of cricket. What a gun, EP, always. I mean, he takes on so much and he's so good. Alex Patterson back in the studio as well. He's panelled and looked after all the socials through the week. A new ball back tomorrow with Baz and me. Then SEN Test cricket returns live from the first test in the West Indies on the 25th of June. This has been SEN Test cricket for Henley Holmes. South Africa, magnificent, victorious here at Lords. They've won the World Test Championship by 5 wickets. Good afternoon. Goodbye.